Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Brian and I are doing our top 20 most anticipated games for 2022. This is always a list that I absolutely love doing because who cares about like games that came out this year? It's all about the future and next games. When a brand new game comes out, it's garbage because of what's coming out next. No, I actually like doing this because it's fun to be excited about games.
Well, and also we'll see how many of these games are from last year's 2021 list still.
That's true. That is true. Actually, so I whenever I was looking up games for this, I always go to Board Game Geek and then do 2022. And then I went through my Kickstarter, like what I backed, and I was like, oh man, it's almost all of these.
Yep.
Mainly because 2021 shipping, it was just a disaster. It's been insane. I feel like a lot of these should have come out this year, but through no fault of their own, it got pushed back, which I'd rather games get pushed back than have to pay extra. So,
right.
And we don't want these companies to go under by having to pay, $100,000 in shipping. And yeah, so anyway, so we're going to go over the top 20. And I should mention that with this list, there's always, like, I have Board Game Geek pulled up because some of these are going to be based off of just how they initially sound. And there's never a finite, like, oh, hey, this game is exactly going to be like this. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of like an idea or anything that might be around. And we also included expansions.
Yes.
So, all right, who is first? Am I first?
You're first.
Sweet. So my number 20 most anticipated game is boom, the Robinson Crusoe Adventures on the Cursed Island Collector's Edition. I just redid this for my channel, actually, so it's been up. And when I was playing that, all I could think about was, I want the Collector's Edition because it's just going to be enhanced in every single way. It's going to be streamlined, which is something that Robinson Crusoe kind of struggles with, is that it's all over the place. Like the book of adventures that it's showing on the left is basically it's gonna have all those scenarios just combined into one book and arranged from difficulty, so from easiest and beginner all the way to insanely hard. And that's one thing that I'm truly excited for. The just the condensed nature of having everything all in one box and everything being up to date, because there was the first edition, second edition, and then an expansion for the first edition that didn't come. It's just all over the place right now. So this is actually the honorable mention. So it's not even, what am I doing? Why am I even talking about this? No, so yeah, I love Robinson Crusoe. I think that a lot of people might not like it, like Kat, for example, just because of the theme, but I really just think it's Robinson Crusoe in title alone. Like, I think there's a few scenarios.
This is one of my holes that I have never played.
Oh, okay.
So I'd like to, though.
Yeah.
Just to give it a shot sometime.
Yeah, I think you would really like it. Because especially this is an easier one to play solo, because you play different characters and they have special abilities, but they don't get like individual cards, like, or anything where you have to manage a whole lot for one character. It's kind of a programming game in a way as well for how you do actions. I love it. Like, the scenarios are fantastic. It's a solid, very, very difficult cooperative game, but not difficult in just because you roll dice and it's random, like some difficult co-op games. But yeah, so this is my honorable mention. I can't wait. So yeah, there we go.
Right. Well, my honorable mention was a Kickstarter that concluded a couple months ago, and it kind of fits in the same vein as Wingspan. And since I'm such a dog person.
Oh, interesting. I backed this as well.
Yeah. I don't know if this publisher has done many other things.
Let's find out.
But what is cool about this and what got me into this was because this year is when I played Wingspan for the first time.
Mhm.
And what intrigues me about this is they kind of take the same approach. Like every card is a different breed of dog.
Yeah.
So it's like it almost is Wingspan, but I mean, there's different mechanisms. Of course, you're walking your dogs. There's some movement
Mhm.
around, and stuff like that. So I mean, there's different stuff, but you're pretty much doing set collection, and you have all these different cool dogs and all that stuff, and it just looks like it'd be kind of a laid back, chill game like Wingspan, and
Yeah.
stuff. So this is one that I think will really will do well, and I'll be able to get my wife to play it, I think.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, the publisher has only ever done this, and the
Okay.
expansions coming for it. And second, I love this artwork.
Mhm.
Like, it's so pretty. One of the reasons I backed it, I didn't even attribute it to Wingspan, but I definitely see kind of where you're coming from. I was just like, oh, it's a game about dogs. Well, let's do that. Like, that just sounds fun.
Yeah.
So I am also excited for this one. Oh, wow.
I just think it's Wingspan was kind of the what am I trying to say?
It like
It's
spearheaded the
yeah, I like it. They kind of looked at that and were like, well, we can do a dog kind of like that, a dog game around that where they have every species of dog on a card, and
Mhm.
it's just it just kind of like that bird deck, And
Yeah.
then when you see those expansions that you get with the Kickstarter for this, it's like all these different breeds of dogs as well that get thrown in and stuff, and it's
Yeah. It's
so
European dogs and then the famous dogs
right.
expansion.
So I mean,
I don't know
to
what
me,
that is.
it's really Wingspan only for canines. I mean,
Yeah. Which I mean is a theme I think more people would jump on.
right.
Because I feel like more people like dogs than birds, but who knows? Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah.
All right, actually, let me do something real quick because damn it. Anyway, you can go to my 20. I was going to pull up my list of anticipated games so I know.
So what's going up.
Yeah, so I know what's coming up.
Well, here's your 20. You ready?
Yep. Oh, okay, there we go. Rainbow Six Siege, the board game. Now this would have been higher had I not had a horrible demo at Gen Con this past year. That guy I almost sold this because I was like, if this is how this game is played, I want nothing to do with it. Luckily, they had the rule book up online, so I was able to be like, oh, he was wrong about a lot of stuff. I still may not like it. It's a 1v1 skirmish game, which is Rainbow Six. I back this because I do play Rainbow Six Siege, and I am ass at it. I am horrible. I'm better on like PC, but still not great. But yeah, this is very interesting. Mythic Games, I think if they could fix their rule books and able to do like release a game without having to then release an errata for it, I think they would be one of the like echelon of publishers, at least for me. I like almost every game that they have published, but they always have kind of like that, hey, the game's great, but the rule book is really bad, so no one can figure out how to play. But with this one, it's a timed 1v1. I mean, it says 2 or 4. It's not. It's 1v1. And Legacy could do 4. Everyone controls a person because it's not just anyway. So one person plays the attacker, one person plays the defender, and it's timed almost like chess. There's a app that supports the game where it's real time in how you maneuver your what do they call them, agents, I guess, on both sides. And so that's very, very interesting because in this game, like I said, one person's an attacker, one person's a defender, and usually the defender is like they pick a location where they're defending, they have a bomb or a hostage they need to protect, and then the attacker breaches the building and tries to either plant the bomb and activate it, or they try to rescue the hostage and get him out, or most likely what happens is one side is completely killed. And it's just extremely fascinating. I think it's ambitious of a project for them to try and do. The real-time aspect is pretty cool, and also every agent has their own special ability that mimics how they are in the game. And I'm very intrigued. This game is probably, out of every single game on this list, and even in a subsequent list that Brad and I are going to do, this is probably the quickest one that can tank. Like, I feel like it's either going to be awesome and super fun, or it's just going to be dog shit. So
my number 20 is the exact same way. So
oh, okay, well, cool. I thought you were going to say your number 20 is this as well. I'm like,
no. I am not. I've really never played Rainbow Six except for the very, very early iterations. Like I'm more of a Splinter Cell.
That's fair.
Player.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I'm excited, but I really can't say a whole lot. I did get to demo it, but it was the worst experience, and I'm like, So I don't really know what to think, but I'm so excited because it is cool, and they have everyone, well, almost everyone, because this is still a live video game, so they still release, what do they call them? I'm just gonna keep saying agents, but I don't think that's it. So yeah, that's my number 20, Rainbow Six Siege.
All right, my number 20 is on here strictly because of the theme. I don't know if the game will be any good, but I want to play it because of the theme. And the publishers are kind of iffy, and that's Witcher Old World.
Yeah.
This one, it's made by the people that made Valhalla, which I like, Titans, which was kind of, from what I hear, not that great.
Yeah.
And I love The Witcher. So I want to play it, but I just don't know. Like, reading the description and stuff, where it's pretty much competitive. You're trying to kill the most monsters, more or less, earn trophies. So whoever earns X number of trophies first wins. There is a solo mode for it. I didn't actually even back this. One of my other friends did, so I'm gonna play theirs.
Smart.
But I like I said, I love The Witcher, but I like Geralt, however people say it different ways. Geralt.
I love Gerald. Gerald the Watcher.
But he's not in. This takes place like long before him. When there was more monsters around and stuff and everything. So I mean, it looks really cool. The miniatures look neat. But so did Titans. And, I mean,
yeah, that's true.
So I mean, like, this one could be cool. I'm obviously it's number 20 on my list. I want to play it, but I'm going in, ready for it to not be what I expect it to be, I guess.
Yeah, that I completely agree. I initially had backed this, and I was watching videos of him and his wife, and I was like, I can't back this. I want to so bad because the minis and then just the world itself. And I was like, maybe it'll be good, but so far he's 0 for 2 for me. I don't like Valhalla and Titans. I mean, they're not horrible games. They're not the worst games I've ever played, but it feels like he almost strikes this balance of like epic game and also it being very simple. But I feel like that balance is kind of way off. It almost becomes too simple. Titans, for example, is you have these different factions who have these god titans that assist you in battle, but it comes down to very basic math and you go into battle and you roll dice and you're like, I got 6, and you're like, I got 3. All right, you move out. It's like the most boring, like the art on the box makes it seem like it's so great, and then the gameplay is so fucking dull. And I was like, you know what? I'll just pretend in my imagination that this game is good, because if it's not, I'll just be like, you ruined The Witcher. He's Polish, isn't he? I think he's Polish.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe he'll be, I mean, it's a Polish, IP. Maybe he'll give it justice, but yeah, that's yet to be seen.
I don't know about the competitive part of the game.
That was the other thing. I was like,
because I know they're different houses, they're clans and everything. So I guess I don't know as much about the old storyline. Like, I know what I played from when I started with Witcher 3, the video game. And
to my knowledge, they're not like Witchers aren't against each other inherently. I mean, they're all kind of greedy. They have to kill and earn their keep. So I don't remember if they're like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm gonna screw you over so I can get the money. There's probably some like that, but yeah, the competitive nature of this game, I just feel is a little odd.
Yeah.
So, and then once again, I bet you it's going to come down to this should have been a solo game. Most video games.
It says that the solo, because I have it pulled up here. On their description for that is just the very bottom. It says the game will include a solo mode that will allow for a solitary adventure on the continent. That's all it says. So yeah, I don't know what that means either.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, it's like Fallout, for example. It's like this is very much a solo game. Like the competitive nature just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. This one in your number 20 could be dog shit. We'll see.
Yeah. Let's hope not.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 19 is I want to say it's like a standalone expansion, but it can be combined with its base game, and I absolutely love the base game, and that is Black Rose Wars Rebirth.
Interesting.
So I pulled it up just because I wanted to refresh myself on exactly what this was. 25 years later, the last four mages are here in the lodge to reestablish order. It's essentially, I think, it's after the events. I mean, this game really has like no theme of the first Black Rose Wars, and then you go into it. It's really the same game.
I think you're trying to rebuild.
You're trying to rebuild the lodge.
Yeah, because I backed this all in on this Rebirth Kickstarter, and I have the base game, but I still haven't played it yet. So that's why I haven't really messed with this as far as putting on lists or anything, because I have not played the original.
Did you say this had a solo variant that someone created?
I believe so.
Okay. Yes. So that would be very interesting. So Black Rose Wars is, the way I explain it, is kind of, mature Wiz War. If that you have different rooms that have different, abilities. You have your own mage that is a specialist in a particular school of magic, and it's kind of a programming game. You have in a round, you have a quick spell slot that you place a card face down that you can do at any time, and then you have 3 other slots that you have to do in order. So you have to kind of plan on what your opponents might do, and you're running around the rooms trying to either damage rooms, complete quests, complete objectives, and defeat your other mages. And there's a lot going on in this game. Not only are there a shit ton of schools of magic, which is one of my favorite things because every school feels like the school that you would expect. And you can either specialize in one school, because whenever you draft, you pick, oh, hey, I want to pick cards from this deck. You can specialize in one school and be very strong in that one, or you can try and mix and match different elements and do different combinations. Whenever you're also attacking your opponents, you deal damage markers to them, similar to adrenaline. And whenever they die, they go back to like their room. It's just like, go back to your room, you're grounded. And if you dealt the most damage, you get a trophy, you get a certain number of points, and then whoever dealt the second most, and so on and so forth. The one thing they don't do is you don't become less of a target. You're not worth less points like adrenaline, but still similar concept. It is, if you want a dueling magic game multiplayer, then this is absolutely your game. this company, Ludus Magnus, I feel like they've only done a great job with this one, because Cine Tempore is just a bloated mess of a sci-fi game. And then they did another one that was similar to Cine Tempore, but it was like Assassin's Creed era, revolutionary time, or Renaissance times. But this one is fantastic. It is. I want to see if I can find, because they have so many schools of Magic. It is awesome. This one includes Nightmare. You can also summon, like you can be a summoner and just summon a bunch of monsters and they fight for you. Technomancy is another one. I mean, and this can be combined with the original. So you're just gonna have so many different schools, and there's different ways to play as well. I think there is a cooperative version, or a cooperative mode, because there's like a massive like Titan that people have to fight. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't find any other schools in their pictures. I'm sure I could look it up on their Kickstarter, but if you like Black Rose Wars, like Hex or Jinx cards, yeah, I found one more. But yeah, this one I'm super stoked just to have more of what I already love.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited for this one too, but like I said, I need to get the base game played first before I can,
Yeah.
All right. So my number 19 is a game. It's based on a series of computer games that I love. The computer games. I put so many hours in the computer games, and there's not much information about this board game yet. It's going to be on GameFound here within the next maybe week or two.
Okay.
And that is Total War Rome, the board game. This one, I don't know if you've ever played any of the Total War computer games. It's one of those games where you choose a civilization, you can play with multiple people and they choose civilizations, and you build up think of the old PC game Civilization, but what you do, instead of moving around your little groups, you actually have troops and you can command them. So like when you go into battle, like you can put the formations and you can play the battle out live. Like you would hit the play button and they go in and battle, and you can flank them and do all this different stuff.
Okay.
I don't know how that's going to translate into a board game. So they say that, I mean, just the little brief deal that's on BGG, it says that that this game, the base game, can be played in under 3 hours. So I think it's going to be a pretty grandiose battle game. I don't know, there's like not even really pictures as far as like if there's going to be minis, if it's going to be what, I mean, that's why I said there's not a whole lot out there right now. This company that's making it has only done one other thing, and it was another war game.
Okay.
But just the IP of having Total War Rome on there has me very intrigued to see how they do it, just because of all the time playing on PC back in the day with my friends and all that stuff. It was just a good fun thing, and your whole goal was you were trying to expand your civilizations and take over their, because you could do a siege, or you could siege their cities and stuff. And all that stuff. It was just a really neat war emulator, kind of in a way. So I'm kind of curious how they're going to do it with this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, PSC, they have their hands in a few games. Blitzkrieg is one, the Great War. But as for the designer, he hasn't done a whole lot. He did Field of Glory, Caveman, and Colors. So
interesting.
So, oh, I know, yes, he's done more, but those seem to be his highest, but all in 2008. So I don't know, do with that what you will. And yeah, I don't know anything about this. Like there's nothing on it, and there's nothing on GameFound either.
Yeah, and there's not, that's the thing. I keep getting these emails maybe a couple times a week from GameFound being like, okay, this is getting ready to start soon. Here's where we are, all that stuff. So I mean, I mean, I have it on the 2022, knowing full well that this will probably be on my 2023 list. Just because, I don't know if there's minis or not. They haven't really said anything about if it's going to be miniatures, if it's just going to be cubes, standee. I don't know, so
yeah.
But yeah, I think just the IP alone is what puts it on this list for me.
Okay. All right. Cool. Sweet. So my number, what were we at? 18?
Yeah.
My number 18 is a game I think that you actually passed on because you don't care about the theme. And I'm not like the biggest fan of the theme either, but I had to sneeze. It won't, hold on. There we go. The not the designer, but the publisher and the gameplay just sounds so solid that I'm very excited for it. And that is good. That is 11, the Football Manager board game. So the theme is soccer, and you are managing soccer, or of course in this case football, because Portal I think they're Polish as well.
Yeah, they are.
And the gameplay just sounds right up my alley. This is like a heavier Euro game where you are managing a soccer team by getting sponsors, by drafting rookies and training them up, by getting elite players and then assigning them in certain spots to try and succeed and win in your division for soccer matches. And the soccer match is kind of it's supposed to be very quick. You don't actually play soccer. You do assign your people, but you don't do all 11. I think there's 11 people on a soccer field, or 9, maybe 9. Anyway,
there's 11 in our football.
You're right. That's where I'm getting confused. How many players on a soccer team? If I can spell soccer right. There are 11. Yay! And but you only have like a few stars that you assign in particular positions to help you just basically try to have a higher number. Like the football playing part is actually very small, but everything about the game, it's kind of like when Madden wasn't complete dog shit like it is now. It was like whenever you had to manage your own football team, you had to hire medics, you had to hire coaches, you had to hire trainers and all that. And everyone's trying to do the same and win in their own division. Whoever has the best football team, wins. I'm very excited. I think this is a really ambitious project, just because this is a theme that I don't feel like a lot of people are going to jump on. And it's Portal Games, and they usually do a great job. And so I'm super stoked. The gameplay was, because I was kind of in the same boat. I'm like, oh, all right, it's soccer. But then I watched like a run through of it, and I'm like, yep, this is going to be for me. So
I think the timing of this works out too, because Ted Lasso is such a popular thing right now. People that don't normally watch soccer watch Ted Lasso and kind of get, because I don't know hardly anything about soccer, but since I watched a couple of seasons of Ted Lasso, I know more about soccer, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have no idea what that is, but
Ted Lasso is on Apple TV. It's like a really, really, probably one of the best shows I've watched in the last year or two.
Oh, okay. Well,
comedy
awesome.
kind of thing with Jason Sudeikis.
But okay, well, perfect. Yeah, so maybe it'll help him out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a Euro game about like football managing that has theme behind it. Yeah, I'm fully in on it.
I wish,
and it was actually really cheap. That was the other cool thing, was for an all-in like pledge, it wasn't insanely expensive.
It's pretty much just going to be cards and cardboard though, because they don't need miniatures and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah,
there was I wish they would come out with a American football one, or a base. I mean, I know they have simulators for like baseball and stuff like that, but back in the 90s, maybe early 2000s. Yeah, it was early 2000s. There was an EA Sports put out a coach. It was NFL coach, where you got to totally run your entire NFL team and deal, kind of like what this is, and I was like, that'd be neat if they could come out with some sort of a, deal similar with up to this,
Yeah, yeah, it would be. I don't know if this one includes actual teams, like real life soccer teams. They're probably all fabricated. But I think it would be really, really cool to have a football one. But that company would have to pay out the ass.
Well, and I'm assuming on the cover there would be like some sort of the league. They'd have to have like, the NFL would have to have the NFL emblem on the box cover. And since this doesn't, it's probably made up teams most likely.
That's true. But yeah, it was only 128 euros to get to for the all-in pledge.
Yeah.
And you got the game, then you got the International Cup, international players, a stadium, a solo campaign, and unexpected events. Because your players can get injured. Like if you force them to keep playing, like they potentially could get injured. And then, you also have kind of build your you don't really build your stadium unless the expansion allows you to, but you can get like sponsors for your t-shirts, for like a radio thing, and also what your permanent, like who you kind of like for baseball teams, they have like a logo that they sponsor. And they can give you, it depends on which one you pick. Like it's like, we're just gonna do the radio thing, so you'll get like a quick little benefit. But if you keep them forever, then you get a better benefit. But it's like there's a lot going into the game, and I'm excited. I think it'll be good.
Good deal.
Yeah,
I'll definitely play it. It just wasn't something that I backed or anything. All right. Well, my number 18 is an expansion to a game that drastically needs an expansion, and not because the game is bad. It's just I've played it enough that it needs to just have that extra content. And there's not a whole lot known about this game yet either.
There we go.
Yep. Star Wars Outer Rim Unfinished.
I thought this was your number one. No, I'm kidding.
No. And like I said, there's nothing about what this expansion even is going to include. I just know that it's going to add more variety. It's going to do what Fantasy Flight does. It's probably going to add more of your pilots and more different cards and all that stuff to do different things with, just to add more variety. But yeah, I'm surprised there isn't as much information out about it yet. Even on BGG, it just says it's an expansion. There's nothing on the description. It just says unfinished business is, as you might expect, an expansion for Star Wars Outer Rim, and that's it.
It's funny. It technically, when you pull it up, it doesn't even have the year.
Yeah, I know it's coming out this year. But I just don't. Pre-orders are supposed to open up here before long.
That's so funny. Is, as you might expect, an expansion.
Right. So, it's on here because I really enjoy Outer Rim. Like, it killed Firefly, which I used to really like. It's the Star Wars theme. It does a lot of really cool things, and this is just going to add more. There's rumor that this is going to add more stuff to help with, because you can play Outer Rim solo against an AI deal anyway. And this one's just going to add more stuff for that, so, until I find out more, I'm excited already. Once I find out what's in the box, it could jump it up even more,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I haven't played Outer Rim. So I know it's kind of on our list of games to play. But I know when this was announced, people were like fucking like creaming over it, because they were like, oh my God, there's more.
People have been wanting an expansion for that game forever.
Yeah. So maybe it's like a massive expansion. Like, if you think kind of like the expansion for Twilight Imperium, that came with a shit ton of stuff. Maybe Fantasy Flight, because they're not doing the best.
Right.
Asmodee is what I really meant to say. Maybe they can't afford to keep pumping out expansion after expansion. So maybe it's like, hey, here's one massive box of content. Because as far as I know, even with TI, they're not doing another expansion for it. So.
Well, and I like the title of the expansion. It's the
Unfinished Business.
So it's all
it's Fantasy Flight's message to Asmodee. They're like,
yeah. So anyway, this one's I'm really excited for, just to see what it adds to Outer Rim.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Good pick. All right. My number 17 is one that you kept telling me about, and one that I know will be higher on your list because it's everything and everything. It's anything and everything that you want it to be. And I honestly don't know much. I know this box is massive and has a shit ton of stuff, and it is only for 1 or 2 players, and that is the Isofarian Guard.
Really, it's just a solo game.
Huh?
It's mostly a solo game. You can play it with 2, but it's mostly solo.
Well, fair enough. But I like to play these narrative games with 2 because it's you get to actually share in the experience with another player instead of be like, oh, yay, and reading to yourself.
Well, and that's what's weird about this one is because the miniature has the 2 people. So like even when you play 2 people, you're all controlling the same miniature. Because when you go through an adventure, like the 2 characters for that adventure are a connected miniature.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
there you go.
Yeah.
So it's a solo game. So it says you will travel through the cities and wilderness of Isofar on a beautifully illustrated world map, fight off enemies using a unique and highly customized and use your wits to talk your way out of sticky situations. Basically, it's a mega campaign game, but only for 1 person. And who is the company? Sky Kingdom. Oh, they did Dungeons of Infinity. That's right.
Yeah, and they've done they did Stonebound Saga,
which I haven't played.
But
I remember I backed this mainly because you were talking it up a lot, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, why not? If it's a narrative, action RPG kind of game, then so be it.
Well, it's cheap. It was only like 120 some bucks, and it's a huge. The box is bigger than Gloomhaven.
Yeah, there's a lot in this game. Their updates haven't been like they don't really have a shipping date yet. I don't think
they're almost done. The last update that came through, they're about 80% on the last story.
Okay, and that's what I thought. So yeah. I'm always down for like unique card-driven combat. That's one of my favorite things about. I mean, Gloomhaven it's card-driven combat instead of dice. Different characters going on a world map, different events, different, just a story you get to go through with choices. And I mean, because this has to be like a tree of choices because it's solo. If it was just kind of like okay, we played it and it's over, then you kind of wasted your time, I feel, because only 1 person's going to get to experience it. So I feel like there has to be a lot of options from a narrative standpoint.
Well, we have Foreteller is another big thing with this. The storyline with this is very well done. They have all their voice actors, kind of like with the Gloomhaven stuff.
Yeah,
and I think the unique thing about this game also is it's got the bag building with the poker chips, because that's how you pull those chips out, and that kind of is your actions and your battling and all that stuff as well. So it's got a lot of neat little things to it that I think will be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was just looking through their pictures and they have their world map on here. What's interesting is this looks like the world map from Madara. And Madara has it's like a massive and it's only half of a map. This looks like, it looks like it's its own complete thing, but it'll be interesting to see kind of how utilized this map is. It's huge. There's a lot of stuff on here. But yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah, the poker chips I'm looking at right now with the different status effects could be really cool. And yeah, I really don't know a whole lot about it except it's a unique theme, solo / 2-player narrative RPG. So,
yeah, this might be on my list. We'll see.
You're like, I didn't quite make it. I'm not too stoked about it. But and then you did mention yeah, the foreteller app, which is a must for every game, every narrative game at this point. So on Gloomhaven, or on Gloomhaven, on Foreteller, they have like how much, like how long the narrative is. Like in Gloomhaven is 5 hours and 23 minutes, and this is 4 hours and 17 minutes, which is incredibly impressive for a narrative. Madara is 22 hours, but well, that's its own beast. So yeah, still 4 hours of just narration that's a lot.
For sure.
So that's my number 17, the Isofarian Guard.
All right, my number 17 is it's on this list because it was a Kickstarter I backed, and the Kickstarter was for the expansions, but then they had this complete version that had everything in a really big box, and that is the complete collection Everdel.
Nice.
This one, you and Kat turned me on to Everdel a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed it. And I only had this in Pearlbrook for a while and hadn't gotten the expansions. But then this came along. You got the big ass box, it holds everything, all the collector's versions of it. And then they even had that cool add-on that I know you did too. I think that held the unique little
the resources,
to hold the stuff, resources, and everything. This one is going to be pretty badass because just all the crap that's going to be in this box. It has the wooden tree, it's just everything. It's going to have Pearlbrook, Spirecrest, Belfair, New Leaf, Mistwood, the Wood Never Tree, all the collector's upgrade packs, and the big old storage box.
Yeah, the storage box is what this isn't on my list because I have everything for it. Well, except their newest stuff.
Right.
But yeah, the storage box is absolutely like a must. So
yeah,
Everdell is a phenomenal game, like through and through. Every expansion is, solid. Like my favorite one is I think it's called Mistwood, the one where you actually adventure out into the land. But like they're all incredibly solid, and I think Starling Games really hit the nail on the head. And James Wilson, the designer, he really made this is probably a modern classic, I think. And I love anthropomorphic like animals. It's just the game is just adorable, and it's so good. So yeah, I definitely understand why you picked this to be excited for, especially since you don't have everything.
Yeah, well, and I was going to put the 2 new expansions as my pick, but then I was like, well, it's all going to be kind of contained in the one box when you get it. So that's why I decided to do the complete collection.
Yeah, that's fair. I honestly don't even remember because whenever they put this on Kickstarter again, I was like, well, I'm obviously going to back it, so I didn't really look into it. Sorry, Mistwood is the newest one. Spirecrest is the current one.
Okay.
Mistwood, the Cunning and Villainous Nightweave plus Takeover Everdell. So there's just more game, but this one actually looks like it's like a fighting, like you have to like defend Everdell.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing is, I'm looking here on there's 23 different types of critter meeples.
Are there really?
That's what it says here. It says the complete collection contains 23 different types of critter meeples. Wow. And it's like, holy crap.
That is a lot. That's amazing. This storage solution better be awesome.
It looks like it. I mean, from where they had it broken down on their Kickstarter page, and it said it would fit those special resource containers too.
So, oh, awesome. Okay. Sexy. Yeah, this one it probably won't fit in a Calyx shelf, and if it does, I probably still won't. I might just put it on display because this artwork is top notch. Like Andrew Bosley, just so good.
Yep, that's my 17.
All right, my number 16 is one that I added, I think, last minute to this list because I had heard about it and I'm like, oh, what is this about? And then I watched a run through for it and I'm like, oh, I have to have this game. this one I think is going to be incredibly solid as an asymmetrical politics game, and that is Hegemony, Lead Your Class to Victory. So this has a lot going for it and a lot to prove, because with, of course, being a political game, you run the risk of just, diversifying a lot of people. And this is nothing like Charleston, but Charleston is a similar kind of idea in that it brings up political topics that people can take very personal and not enjoy playing the game. This is a they very much wanted to focus on the education aspect. Some people think that they're going to lean one way towards another and be on a platform or have an agenda. But from my understanding is they're trying to not do that and take a wide stance and be like, look, here's just the facts of these different ideologies. So it's an asymmetrical game where depending on number of players, but there's the working class, middle class, capitalist class, and then the state itself. And each person plays differently and has different, agendas that you are trying to complete in order to score victory points and win the game. So it says the working class controls workers. They work in companies, earn money. Capitalist controls the companies. Workers work there, and capitalists sell goods. Middle class gets fucked on. Oh, that's just what it says right here. So that's interesting. Middle class combines elements from both of them. Working class and the capitalist has workers who can work, but they can also make small companies. And then the state is trying to keep everyone happy, provide benefits and subsidies when needed, but trying to maintain a steady income. So ambitious is kind of like the word of the day, I guess, for me, because this one, probably more so than anything else on my list, it's just that time, where people are just upset about every little thing, every step of the way. And I feel like you would have to play this with a particular group of people who aren't going to be upset when things go a certain way, when I think the state are trying to make healthcare, universal healthcare, a thing, and then you as the capitalist are like, wait, I'll actually lose out on money, so I'm going to cancel that. I'd be like, you fucker. Talking to your uncle at Thanksgiving, where everyone just is up in arms. But I think, especially in the rulebook, from what I understand, they include educational aspects of it to hopefully help people understand why certain groups of people believe a certain way. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but at least if you understand, like, oh, okay, I kind of get it, instead of just going off what you see online or what you see on the news. I think that they might succeed in that, or, we'll see. But the gameplay, like I said, looks super good. Like, I think from a Euro standpoint and an asymmetrical standpoint, I think they're going to do a fantastic job. So yeah, and I think it's just the 4 classes. And as far as I know, I think this was on Kickstarter. As far as I know, they didn't include any more. I'll find out. But Gemini, lead your class to victory. Yeah, I think they have a historical events mini expansion. I think that was it. I don't think they had like a all-in. Yeah, so just those 4. It does have a solo mode as well.
I don't know, man. Politics is just boring to me.
See, politics for me is I like it from a psychological standpoint. Like, I like to understand why people believe a certain way and why they're doing what they're doing, instead of just politics itself. So I jump in on this kind of stuff because it's interesting. But yeah, so I think it'll be good.
All right. Well, my 16 is going to be probably higher on your list, most likely. because you've played this series of games more than I have, and that is Aeon's End Legacy of Gravehold.
Nice.
We are, over the last few months, we've been working through our way through Legacy, which you've already done it. This is my first time through. And I haven't done any of the, what do they call those? Is it the new expansion storylines? What are they called?
Yeah, they're like a mini story. Like I think there's like 4.
Expedition or something. But anyway, this one almost seems like, from when the Kickstarter was going and everything, this is almost like they've taken everything. Like, this is going to be better than Legacy. Like, I think the storyline should be better than Legacy if they're taken from what I hear from the last couple.
I hope so.
Yeah, but I mean, they're just going balls to the wall with this one, because they already have tons of mages and all that stuff, and now it says, Legacy of Gravehold has more than twice as many mages as all previous base sets, and more than twice as many nemesis as well. I mean, they're just throwing a shit ton in this box from the sounds of it. Yeah, I mean, it's I think this is going to be Aeon's End Legacy on steroids. I think it's going to be just all wild and crazy.
Yeah. They say deeper, more immersive narrative, with branching paths. So
yeah, the branching paths part is the interesting, because the original Legacy was kind of on rails. I mean, if you lost, you went back and you played it again, and it's just kind of like a very structured storyline. If the branching paths part is going to be kind of the cool aspect, I think, because if you lose, then it may put you may have to go on and do other things,
Yeah, because in regular Legacy, like you said, if you lose, it's just like, oh, play again. And if people, have to evolve or anything, they just don't. And it's like, okay, like, what's stopping us from just being like, all right, we didn't lose. We'll just keep going.
Yeah. And there's just so much shit for this game right now, and throwing in all these extra nemesis and mages to this, and it sounds like this is kind of the beginning of the next storyline from what because I listened to a podcast and they were talking, I think Sydney Engelstein, one of the people on this, was talking about how, the last storyline kind of is at the end, and this is kind of the beginning of the next series of story. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's already so much crap as there is.
Yeah.
But
God, there's so much to it.
I just can't imagine developing a game. Like, I mean, to have so many diverse characters, there isn't very many of them that are the same. I mean, they're so different. Everything is just crazy.
Yeah, the breach mages, and then the nameless, like how these guys just must do hella drugs like to come up with like as many like nameless that play radically different. I mean, they're not all winners,
right?
But most of them are still solid. I think even my least favorite one in the regular Legacy, the first Legacy one, is still kind of like a, maybe a 5 out of 10. It's all right.
Right.
So it's not super fun to fight against, and I would never just be like, hey, let's pick this one. But if it came up on like a randomizer, it's like, all right, let's just see what happens.
Well, and this one's going to be pushing that 2022 envelope, because I know people like over in Europe are starting to get theirs. Oh,
really? Okay.
Yeah. So we should be, I couldn't imagine, because the pictures I've been seeing with this, the people who are doing this are people that haven't done Aeon's End at all, and they're doing all in. So they did like everything, and they're putting pictures out there, and it's got like every bit of Aeon's End all at once on their table. And I'm just like, where in the hell do you start with that?
Yeah, that's true.
but yeah, anyway, this is my 16. I know it'll probably be higher on yours, but yeah.
All right, so my number 15, if I can pull it up real quick, is one that I was initially kind of hesitant on because of my weird feelings on this designer's previous game, but I have kind of come around full circle and appreciate it a lot more than I did after playing the campaign. And this one, I don't know a whole lot about. I did see it played at Gen Con, but I still am kind of iffy on it, and that is Now or Never. God, he was so close on the title. Like that's, above and below, near and far, and it's like, so close. Why can't it be now and never? Even though that wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, so Ryan Lockett, coming off the high and masterpiece that Sleeping Gods is. We have Now or Never, which was probably, I feel like, designed or maybe around the same time. But this one didn't go on Kickstarter, which is amazing. It just self-published, and it is, let's see, you compete to best rebuild your ancient village and guide the rest of the villagers on their journey home. The creatures of the meteorite have lost much of their strength. Many of them remain, and you must fight them off to protect traveling villagers. So I know all of his games take place in the same world or the same universe, but there's never like a timeline, and I never know if all these games connect. I think they're just like, hey, this happened at some point. It would be really cool if he kind of like what Legend of Zelda did, where it's like, hey, here's the timeline of my games. So obviously you have Empires of the Void way in the future. And it feels like the Above and Below series, like Above and Below is first, then Near and Far, and then this one. Those seem to be kind of sequential, but they don't connect in any way. Like Sleeping Gods might be after. But yeah, this one, I love Ryan Lockett games. They always have interesting mechanics. Always a decent like narrative kind of story aspect to it. I don't know. I think this one has like stories. It'd be weird if they didn't.
Yeah, I would assume that it does, since it's in that part of that trilogy. I mean,
right, because I know Above and Below kind of just had their own snippet of stories when you delved into the below part. Near and Far kind of had a more linear, like progressive story that could slightly carry. Sleeping Gods is basically your sandbox narrative game. So I would guess that this one does as well. I think his characters are always interesting. His gameplay, the usage of workers and traveling is always good. Beautiful artwork. I mean, I know he does his own art. It's just he just nails it with his games, because they don't do a whole lot. Like he doesn't design many, but most of his games are kind of like solid.
Yeah, it's just him and his wife that run this company.
Is it really?
Yeah,
okay.
they were just talking about him on the last Secret Cabal podcast I was listening to, and it's just them two that run the company.
That is amazing, because there's another company. I think it's Too Fat to Fly Games. It's just him and his wife, and their Moonshiners of the Apocalypse game was horrible. So it's like, props to Ryan for continuing to make solid games. And of course, I'm excited to see what this is like. I did see it played like physically at Gen Con. I didn't get to actually jump in on a demo, but if you're familiar with Near and Far and Above and Below, then this one, I think it'll be just as good. And what's also awesome is that the Above and Below and Near and Far are now on Foreteller.
Oh, right. Yeah, and Above and Below, it almost seems like, I mean, I don't know how expensive it is, but there's not a ton of reading, so it's like, would it be worth it? It's like,
it's true.
Near and Far has more reading, so that I could see that being more possible. But
yeah, that's true, considering they are really just quick snippets. Like, yeah, Near and Far has 8 hours of reading, and Above and Below has 2.
Yeah, I mean, so it better be dirt cheap if that's the case.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how much they are. I know, let me see. Well, I could just go to their page and see, but I don't want to. but yeah, Now or Never. Very excited. It's part of that trilogy. And it'll most likely be good. So that's my number 15.
All right. My number 15 is an expansion, a needed expansion to this game. It's a game that I kind of talked up a lot, and I think you got it maybe because of that. I'm not sure the timeline there. And it's Vindication Chronicles. The game itself, whether you play with the modules, whether you do all that stuff, it's a great game. We've had fun playing it. It's good and everything, but it lacked that story element, the narrative story. And that is what this expansion does. It adds the narrative. It adds, and obviously when you have a story and more narrative, you get immersed more into it.
Yeah.
Why are they doing what you're doing? Why is this here and all this stuff? The other thing that I kind of think will be neat with this is there's actually going to be global events that take place.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I haven't seen much as far as like gameplay of this or anything, but those global events, would be interesting to see how it changes the board or the landscape, and different odds and ends. So this is just one of those expansions that is going to be added to a good game, adds that story stuff that's going to push it that much in the right direction, because that was what we said when you, me and Kat played it that one time, as well. It was like, why is this happening? And all this stuff. But it's like, now, hopefully, if this is done correctly, then we should have a pretty good storyline with it and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, it's just kind of like we just do stuff. Like we go and build an inn, we go and talk to, but we just have followers and we just kill monsters. The game is great. Like, it's a solid, like, thematic Euro, but it was begging for a narrative aspect. And then, this one completely added that. It looks like it says narrative immersion and story, both for the island and your own personal journey. So, and another thing that's great about this is it'll actually come with a bigger box.
The big box,
store. God, because once again, Orange Nebula, they're just right there on their box design, and then they just really nosedive into the ground.
Yep. So this one's going to be this is a pretty highly anticipated one, just to see kind of what it brings to the table. Hopefully it's not just a cheap, hopefully they kind of do a good job of getting that story injected into it.
Yeah, and I think so. I think their writing for Unsettled is really good. Like, it's genuinely funny and written well. So I think they have some good writers on their team. So it should be good. All right. My number 14, inching closer to games that we actually care about. And so that will be the newest Vito Lasarda game that I love. All the games of his that I have played, they've just all been fantastic. This one looks probably like one of the coolest in terms of, like, in theme, and that is Weather Machine. So this one is natural disasters will soon be a thing of the past. You are scientists of Professor Lather's team, tampering with local weather, adjusting rainfall for farms, maintaining wind and clear skies for ecological energy, and tweaking the temperature for resorts and sporting events. So, as with all of his games, this is gorgeous production, like phenomenal artwork. And Ian O'Toole is one of my favorite artists in board gaming. He just does it for me. And this just sounds so cool. This is one of his, I think, only games that I've played that actually is kind of more on the fantastical side. Because, On Mars is sci-fi because you're, terraforming Mars, but it's still kind of grounded in reality. And then Kanban is a car factory. Lisboa is a historical of Lisbon, the tragedy of Lisboa. Then you have Gallerist, Art Gallery. CO2 is about climate change. So it's all realistic. And whenever it comes to interesting themes, like most of them aren't in heavy like Euro games like this one. So I'm very stoked to be immersed in a cool idea like this and have a very brain burning like game to back it. Because there's been a lot of games that come out where it's like, yeah, this theme is cool, but I kind of want a bigger game. Like a good example is Carnival of Monsters. It's a set collection card drafting game by Richard Garfield, and where you capture and collect monsters. And I'm like, man, I really want like a worker placement game set in this universe. Dreadful Circus, which is Portal's newest game. I'm like, I want a meteor game with this theme, and so with this one, I mean, with it being or Vital Lasagna, it's I know it's going to be good. Like he has not failed yet. Oh, even Escape Plan. I mean, Escape Plan was his more whimsical one, but that one is still you're a bank robber.
Right.
So, and yeah, it just has the staples of like looking at the picture. It's so busy. It's these games like I have a friend who wants to play his games, and I'm like, dude, we just need to sit down, set a day aside, and have a Beetle start the day. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. That'll kill me. But yeah, so I'm excited, and yeah, that's my number 14.
All right. Add that to the list of I've never played a Vital game, so
Escape Plan is easily the one that I would play with you because it's his lightest, and probably his heaviest is I'd probably say On Mars.
Yeah,
it's his heaviest one that I've played. I haven't played Kanban, and I need to replay Gallerist because I think I wasn't in the right mind. That might be his only game that I was like not like wowed by, but I want to play it again. I still have it.
Gotcha. All right, so going from the heavy ends that you have down to a light end, my number 14 is One Deck Galaxy.
What are you talking about? This game is super hard.
Well, this one is more difficult than its predecessors, from what I understand. The One Deck Dungeon, both versions of that, are great solo games. They're super simple, don't take very long. Roll dice, you get more dice as you beat things, all that good stuff. And you're working your way through dungeons. This one, you are kind of spreading out amongst the galaxy from what I understand, and you're working your way through your decks, and you're colonizing, exploring and colonizing. And you do more or less the basic mechanics are the same, where you're gaining more dice, and all that stuff. It just takes place in space. It's more or less, it's got a few more choices in this one than the other ones, but really it's the same game, just with a couple of layered on mechanics. And I'm just, it's on this list because I really enjoy the dungeon ones. And I just want to see kind of what this goes, it's like, because the other two, all the characters were female.
Yeah.
And this one having the weird creatures, and so like I don't even know what the hell that is. A radish?
I think it's a radish.
It's like
that's the one I've been looking at with a monocle.
So it's like it seems like it's going to be unique characters and stuff with that too. If you did the Kickstarter version, you're gonna have the plastic cards, just like with the dungeons and all that stuff. It's just one of those games, with me being a solo player, this fits right into that vein of solo stuff, and see how much more complex it gets when you add in the exploration and colonizing and all that stuff.
No, I agree. I think One Deck Dungeon is a lot of fun. I don't play it solo. I play it with as two, and it's still just as exciting. I mean, it's a solid dice chucker. Like it's one of those. It's so weird. One deck dungeon would probably be the exception for kind of roll and resolve, but they give you tons of ways to mitigate. I
Right.
like the exploration aspect. This is very quick. It's very like in some games, like people use that as an excuse to cover up like horrible mechanics in games. Oh, it takes 10 minutes. Who gives a fuck? But in this one, I don't know. It just works for me a little bit better, mainly because it's cooperative. I think the randomness of dice it's not as weighed heavily because it's a group. But I didn't back this one mainly because from what I saw, it was just one deck dungeon, but in space.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I don't need both. Like, if I have to pick between sci-fi and fantasy, I definitely lean more fantasy. So I was like, well, I already got it.
Right.
But yeah, it's still going to be solid if it's anything like the original. All right. My number 13 is a sexy game. Yes. So this one is actually going to be interesting because I did see hold on, if I can spell it correctly. I did see this on Kickstarter and I was like, okay, well, and I did watch a run through for it. And I'm just a sucker for these kinds of games. Like most of my favorite games are going to be stemmed from like an RPG adventure kind of game. And this seems to do that in a pretty interesting way. And that is Agemonia is how I'm pronouncing this. I think the title, what'd you say?
Agemonia.
Agemonia. See, I thought that too, or Agamonia. The title I think is dumb as hell. I think this is a stupid name. But what's very interesting is from this artwork alone, it almost comes across as a really old computer game.
Mm-hmm.
But the artwork is very vibrant. I also may kind of think that the cover I really don't actually like. So it's weird that I have this that high. But what it is you play as, of course, some type of fantasy creature. Like one of the rangers, he has 4 arms, and so he can wield a bow, but you can also actually have daggers, and you can kind of dual wield, which is kind of cool. But it is, enchanted world brimming with magic is experiencing its greatest upheaval. Earth tremors, tidal surges, electrical storms, cataclysmic events are increasing and driving the mortal races to the brink of war. Fully cooperative game with challenging moral choices set in an expansive storyline. Live your destiny, become the mightiest of unlikely heroes. And then what's pretty neat is they have kind of a grid or a weird, like it's not grid based, but a weird shaped map that how you move around. Whenever you see something, there's an event card that shows up that you can go explore or you can ignore whenever you go into a spot. And the artwork for the cards is, I think it's awesome. It kind of comes across as those like choose your own adventure, like those board games, like whenever it's like hand drawn.
Mm-hmm.
But you have choices whenever it comes to that. How you want to fight is very interesting because it's also card based. A bunch of different unique items. It's just its own world that I'm excited for. And these games tend to go higher up on the list of games that it's like, oh yeah, another world. Like I said, it is nice when the game comes out and it's not like a campaign because I already have so many of those. Right. But that's, for me, that's kind of one of those, it's it's not too much of a good thing. Like I like having worlds and stories to go and complete. Hence why I have a massive list of books to read, and hence I have a bunch of anime to watch. And I like having that list because I get excited. Ooh, something new I can experience. But yeah, they utilize stamina. Like one of these characters has like certain stamina, and for each action you do, you have to deplete it. And I think it could be very interesting because it looks like your character's upgrade as well. So yeah, That is my number 13. Yeah,
Looks interesting.
Agamonia.
All right. Well, my number 13, I don't know if it'll be on your list. Maybe. I don't know. It's a standalone, I guess, game, but it can be an expansion to a 1v1 system, and that is Marvel Dice Throne. This is one that when they announced it initially, I was hesitant, but then I really, I jumped on pretty quick. It was interesting, the characters that they chose for this as well. Because when they put this Kickstarter out, it was a unique Kickstarter because they did not do any stretch goals. There was no additions or anything. Like, you got this, you could buy other stuff like sleeves and dice trays.
And
play
play
mats.
mats.
But they didn't add any more characters. The eight that was on the box is the 8 you got. And it was just weird, because there's so many like really key characters that are on here. So I don't know if they're gonna do like a season 2 kind of thing or something, kind of like what they've been doing with their other stuff. But just like with all their other Dice Throne stuff, the art is great, having the dashboards and their own little boxes sorted out and special marble dice and everything. It's going to be a really cool game, and just to be able to kind of combine them in with your other characters that you already have. The one thing I wish they would have done was with the adventures was at least do standees. I mean, I know doing the painted minis and stuff was a whole nother step, but having just the standees so you could use them in adventures as well. But I mean, that's kind of fantastical in itself, because that's more of a fantasy setting. So having Scarlet Witch go through a dungeon is kind of weird, but no, this one's just awesome looking with all the individual dice, the way they look and everything. And I can only imagine what the power, I haven't done much looking, but their powers on their dashboards and stuff are, from what I understand, are very accurate and thematic as far as how they go and stuff. So I'm excited to give this one a shot.
This is not on my list of 20. I am excited for it, but the more I look at it, the more I'm like, I'd rather it be in the same vein as the other Dice Thrones, because I won't combine these. It makes no thematic sense for Doctor Strange to fight a monk. It's like it would just feel weird. Yeah, you can, but it's like, okay, all of these characters wipe the floor with any of those other 8. Like, it's just, so I wouldn't combine it. I mean, it's gonna be cool to have them fight against each other within the same world or the same game, but I don't know. It's like, I love Marvel in that its world and the MCU is fantastic, and I love watching that stuff, but I'm kind of getting burned out on it from a gaming standpoint, like, except for Marvel Champions.
Well,
that's the only one.
I'm kind of hoping that because this one was very popular for them, so it would be interesting to see if they come out here in a couple of years with another Kickstarter that is another battle box with 8 more characters and an adventures box. So like going against Thanos or whoever, the Galactus or whoever it is at that point, and just because I mean they're printing money when they do this. I mean, stuff. So I mean, they'd be stupid not to throw in another one that has Cap and stuff like that in it, Iron Man and stuff like that, just to see. So that's why I think they're kind of splitting it up and making the unique choices of characters that they did.
No, that would be awesome, because then if they did a similar kind of idea of like what Marvel Champions does, and they just keep updating this one with new characters and then enemies to actually go out and fight, then it would be awesome. But this, so far, we can only judge it based off this one alone, and it's like, Okay, yeah, I'll have it, but I'll probably just regularly play, just regular Dice Throne because there's 16 characters. I like the characters that they chose here. Like, I don't have anything against any one of them. From a power scaling standpoint, Black Panther, Black Widow, and Spider-Man are kind of off to the side. Everyone else is god tier.
Yeah.
But still, like it would have been nicer actually, because they did choose like some weird characters. Yeah, everyone knows who these are, but why these 8? Like, if you're gonna do well-known characters, you should have had Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor is here and stuff. But if you're gonna do obscure characters, then do obscure ones, do weird ones that fit more this theme. I think that no one's doing. So, but obviously no one's gonna back that because it doesn't have their character. Where's Squirrel Girl?
Well, and I think that's why that's why I'm almost guaranteeing there's going to be another season, because they put half of these 8 are big time characters at least, and then they do Captain America and Iron Man and Hulk and those in the next one. There's they this could have been a testing the waters. They did this, and it made I don't know how much it made, 1.5 million, 2 million, 3. Actually, it went up to 3 million, I think, because they hit that 3 million mark, I believe. But and just imagine, they come out with another one that has more of those mainline Avenger characters or stuff, and
they made 2.1 million.
2.1, okay. And then if they do tack on some sort of a campaign box or something,
yeah,
we're getting fucking Marvel zombies, for fuck's sake.
They picked these because they're the relevant ones right now. You have Thor. Oh God, I was gonna say Far From Home, but that's not it. Love and Thunder. You have Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange in the Multitude of Madness, or whatever that is. Loki season 2. I think they actually. This might have just been a rumor, but I think they recast Captain Marvel. I think they got someone else. I don't think Brie Larson's Captain Marvel anymore. Spider-Man, Miles Morales. And then you just had the Black Widow movie. So these are all the relevant ones. I get why they picked it, because hey, Marvel's still going, and here's the Iron Man and Captain America are done. You have Falcon as Captain America, but yeah, so right. They went with that. So we'll see. We'll see. I still have it. I will say, I'm going to give a huge shout out to this company, because I initially backed it and I added all the playmats and all the add-ons, but I was like, well, I don't really want those. I don't know why I did that, but I forgot to change my pledge. So I got charged like the 300 it was to get everything. And I'm like, fuck. So I messaged them. I'm like, hey, is there any way I can just go back to the original pledge? And they're like, yeah, when the pledge manager comes out, just change it and we'll refund you the money. And last time I did that, this was like 6 years ago, with North Star Games, they're like, well, we can't really do that because you already got the game. And I'm like, fuck you guys. But so props to
Roxley.
Roxley. Yeah. They weren't even like, well, we don't really do. No, they were just like, yep, just when the pledge manager comes out. So good on them.
Yep.
All right. My number 12 most likely will be higher on your list. But it's definitely gonna be higher on your list. And I was actually surprised it wasn't higher on mine whenever I ranked these, but it is what it is. And it's a standalone expansion, but more content to an already fantastic game. And that is Sorcerer Endbringer.
Interesting.
So this basically, if you don't know what Sorcerer is, it is a head-to-head, mage dueling game in a, horror gothic universe, kind of like Smash Up, but with more to it. But this brings in a campaign, and also allows you to do, I know you're getting it because you can play it solo.
Yep.
Sorcerer Endbringer. There we go. But it also brings in new characters, new battlefields, which is nice. Like that. That's one thing about Sorcerers. The battlefields are really fucking lame. But new, God, what are they called? Basically, like new decks for
There's new lineage and
domain.
Yep.
Yep. So more content, because whenever you build like your characters, you choose a character, you choose a lineage, and you choose a domain. Combine all those decks, and that's how they combo. And that's from a designer who used to do like competitive Magic, which is amazing, and you definitely see that in this. There are obviously combinations that are more powerful, but I don't think that there's any bad combination, at least in my experience. But whenever this now adds like a cooperative element to the game, I think that's incredibly, like, that's super cool. So I love Sorcerer. It's so good. I mean, there's so many ways to play it, so many different deck combinations.
Plus, you're in it.
And he's the best one. That's the best character right there. I don't even have to play him, but just his name alone, yeah. No, he uses like souls, like as his bullets.
Soul bullets.
Yeah, which is really cool. But yeah, that's, I mean, it's super high on my list because it's just more of a good thing for a fantastic game.
Yep. I can't remember if this is on mine higher or not.
Oh, interesting.
We'll discover.
Guess we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So my number 12 is a game that I wanted to back on Kickstarter, didn't back it, hauled around. I ended up doing the late pledge not very long ago. And it has probably the greatest artist in board games. Oh, no. Endless Winter, Paleo Americans. This one is, I mean, I couldn't pass it up. It's you get so much cool stuff in it. It's a unique theme. It's worker placement, multi-use cards, area influence, tile placement. I think there's set collection in it.
Yeah,
it has a great solo mode. The components are badass, especially if you get the deluxe version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're pretty much just, you're migrating, like they did, like the tribes did, and surviving, making a civilization type thing for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just really neat, and I know you don't like the art, but I like the art for this game. It's the designer's Johnny Pack, who's done a lot of games. Some of them I want to play Coloma. I haven't played that one yet.
Okay.
But he's done Sierra West and stuff like that. So I mean, he helped develop it. The designer is a guy that did Dice Hospital and Rurik and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's got deck building in it as well. That was another thing I forgot to mention. It's just one of those games.
It's like every mechanic in the whole genre is like, yeah, it's in this game.
Yeah, and I've watched some of the prototype playthroughs and stuff for this, and it looks like it'd be really, really cool, and everything. And I can just imagine what it'll look like on the table when you have all the cool bits and all that stuff out there. So yeah, I mean, this one's one that I think it might have even been on my list last year. I think
it was.
Yeah, and it's getting closer to becoming a reality now. So
yeah, I think I also I backed this, and I was initially going to stay away from it. I don't know why until I looked it up and everything that it has in it from a gaming standpoint, and I'm like, okay, well, I like all those mechanics, so
right.
I think I'll jump in on it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the box is like massive. I think it's
if you get the big deluxe box, it's a big box. Yes.
Yeah. So it says like interwoven systems and mechanisms, multi-use cards, area influence, tile placement, and set collection, and many viable paths to victory. So yeah, that's everything that's right up my alley as well.
Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely a going to be a cool one, hopefully.
All right, good deal. My number 11, the honorable mention to the anticipated games of 2022 is Burn Cycle, the newest chip theory game. So Chip Theory is they're 2 for 2 on the games that I've played from them. They're an absolutely fantastic company with, I think, like the best components in gaming, and you don't have to pay like out the ass for them. Like, unless you were going all in on Too Many Bones and you had none of it, it was like $1,100. But even then, for all the content and stuff, I think that's pretty justifiable. I would never do that, but yeah. So this one is, I'm mainly excited because it's Chip Theory, and the theme is insanely cool. Like the fact that like humans went extinct and robots like they built robots. I think humanity went extinct, and then robots were like, hey, well, let's bring them back, and then the humans start hunting them again. So it says a puzzly infiltration game puts you in command of a team of robots. Mission: take down evil human-run corporations responsible for subjugating AI under their heel. The key to this solo and cooperative experience is the idea of creative action sequencing. During each round of play, players will contend with a randomly drawn set of programming directives, which tell them in what order their bots can go. And then it has like a unique kind of like cyberpunk kind of map style. So you actually will be moving around a board, which is kind of the opposite of like Too Many Bones and a little bit different than Cloudspire. But then the way that the action programming works is completely unique. And then everyone plays their own robot. It just sounds very very unique, something that we haven't seen in gaming. And out of everything that Chip Theory does, it's very video game-esque, and they always hit the nail on the head. Cloudspire being an MMO, and then Too Many Bones kind of being their like puzzly turn-based action adventure kind of RPG. And then you have this one, which is kind of like a stealth, like cyberpunk-esque maneuverability on a board. I think it's going to be fantastic, and so that's really it.
I think
your team wins the game if you complete your objectives on every floor without losing your captain or maxing out your threat level.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about this is, you're sneaking around stealthily, you're hacking computers. And I think if I remember correctly, there's its own separate little play mat that is like the hacking, like where you're hacking stuff, and you have to do that to move to the next floor and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very unique in its theme, and I think it's just going to be kind of badass. Plus, if you did the level where you got the brass robots, and all that stuff, the what's cool is the chip that normally would be your robot fits into the brass figurine. Everything too. So yeah, it's a top-notch production, of course.
Yeah. I need to see. This was on GameFound, right?
No, this was Kickstarter.
Was it Kickstarter? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So hard to keep track.
Their first thing on GameFound was the Too Many Bones expansion.
Oh, okay. That must be why I thought that. Let's see. Burn Cycle. So campaign. Yeah, I got the deluxe everything bundle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you'll have
bot and guard brass mag figures. So
yeah, it's gonna be badass.
I think so too. Like because they don't do like a whole lot. They have 4 games that they've done. Hoplomachus being the other one.
Hoplomachus, Burn Cycle, Too Many Bones, Cloud Spire, and then they did that Trip Lock.
Oh,
game,
that's right.
that
That
little
no one
one.
talks about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 11, the honorable mention, Burn Cycle.
All right. My number 11 was a Kickstarter under one title, but it consisted of two like expansions or games or whatever. And that is Shadows of Brimstone Adventures.
Yep.
This one I backed. Oh geez, I probably backed it back in 2019. Flying Frog takes a long time to get their stuff out.
Yeah.
But especially now even more.
Mhm.
But these are two boxes that flesh out two of the worlds from the original core boxes. The Gates of Valhalla expansion, there was a God, I can't think of the name of the world in the core box. Targa, yeah, the Targa Plateau. It was just a place that had like these weird robotic type things, that was in that other world. Now we have the Gates of Valhalla, so it brings in this whole Viking lore. So all the miniatures and the bad guys you fight are huge Viking deals or the gods and stuff like that. And then the other one, core box, dealt with the swamps of Jargano. And then it was just like a swamp. It was just swamps, it didn't have much theme in it. This one brings in like the Spanish conquistadors and all that stuff into it. So it just adds more to those other worlds. And this game is this is a lifestyle game. Like you have to, when you go down the rabbit hole, like I have I'm missing some of the hero sets, but I have everything for this game and have spent thousands on all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous, but
I'm amazed they're still making it.
Yeah, I mean, and it still makes a bunch of money. I mean, that's the thing. It's the people that are in it just keep buying it, and they have their own convention that pretty much is just for this game, and it's a thing, and people love it.
I'm just amazed that like you have this company who just keeps pumping more and more content into this game. And I know they're not really at all similar, but the same concept is like with KDM, how they can't even get like one fucking expansion out.
Right.
Like they made way more money than Flying Frog has. Like it's just, it's insane. Like I want to play this game with you, but it'd be like, I'm coming down to your place to do it.
You'd have to. I mean, behind me, I have boxes and boxes. Like I have sorting cabinets full of the tiles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's nuts. And the thing about these two expansions, the reason it's called Shadows of Brimstone Adventures, is because it actually adds more. It actually adds some story into these.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's story anyway, but like there's actually like written story elements to these two expansions that bring more in.
Okay.
And there's a few other worlds that I think may be in the future coming that do the same thing, that add a little more story to it.
Yeah, because if I remember, I played what was it, Swamps of Death? Yeah, I think that was I played just the base box years ago, and I didn't really care for it then. But from what I remember, it doesn't quite have the there's no narrative really. You're kind of just you have stuff that happen, and you can pull like a story, your own kind of RPG out of it. But the game itself doesn't give you anything.
Well, and those games more, and this is one of the faults of the game because of the price and everything. If you just play one of the core boxes, it's not going to be. I mean, you have to have other worlds, you have to have expansions, you have to sink a lot of money into this.
Yeah.
In order to make it, because I mean, I have a stack of enemies. Those enemy cards, I mean, that is at least that thick.
Yeah.
And that's just the variation of what comes out and stuff. In the base boxes, there was just a handful of bad guys, so you were kind of seeing the same things over and over.
Mm-hmm. And I think the uniqueness of this game is the fact that they do have those other worlds. Like
Oh, yeah.
you start out because it was supposed to be it's a horror Western,
Yep.
which is cool in and of itself. But then it's like, okay, you have this Western guy who goes through a portal in a mine shaft, and then all of a sudden he's
on a
feudal
derelict
Japan.
ship. He's in a derelict ship.
Yeah,
That's
he's in
the
a
coolest one.
sci-fi ship
That has zombie astronauts.
right. So, and I think that's really neat. And if this is including, I mean, it seems like these are the adventures just for these two boxes, though, right?
I think this will just add some story to the Targa and the swamps, the
Okay.
Targana world for now. That's what makes me think they'll probably put a little bit more story into, like the maybe the derelict ship will have more story, maybe the
Yeah.
caverns, you know.
I think it'd be badass if they did like instead of like more boxes, if they did a Kickstarter that just had a massive fucking book for
Mhm.
everything that they have.
Mhm.
Or if they wanted to go a little bit easier, do like a foreteller thing where it's
Right.
narrative instead of having a massive book that you have to flip through. But that would be neat.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Shadows of Brimstone.
So this one will probably I'm saying it's going to be out in 2022, but it's probably going to be more 2023, but we'll see. If I
Probably.
get lucky.
All right. Good deal. All right. Now we are into the top 10 games we are most excited for. And my number 10, I hope comes out. I have heard nothing on it, honestly. I'm actually even kind of concerned that this is even a company anymore. But they did just kind of do a recent redo of a Kickstarter or of a game found for their Twisted Fables game. So we'll see if this ever does come out. But my number 10 is Dawn of Madness.
Oh yeah, this was on your list last year too.
Yeah, it was, and I've heard nothing. So Dimension Games, I got Twisted Fables, which is the same company, but Dawn of Madness is basically a standalone expansion in the same world as Deep Madness, and Deep Madness is one of my favorite cooperative horror survival games. And in this one, let's see, they have their narrative, but yeah, Dawn of Madness standalone, terrifying game. Players will assume the role of wanderers trapped in a feverish hellscape surrounded by the distorted echoes of their own history. That's right. This was kind of in a dreamscape because Deep Madness was you were in an underwater mining kind of facility. Think Dead Space, but underwater. And yeah, experience true horror unlike any board game before as you are immersed in stories of terror and madness, using the amplified powers of your mind to survive and fight back. Then it says the choices made throughout the chapter and even the order those choices are made influence almost every aspect of the game. So once again, ambitious in their design, adding even more variety, danger, and tension are the chapter and agnostic mini bosses and their distortions who plague them. So yeah, harkening back to survival horror classics like Silent Hill, The Evil Within, and Alan Wake. Evil Within kind of sucks, but
Alan Wake was awesome.
Huh?
Alan Wake was awesome.
I didn't play Alan Wake. Didn't they remake it?
Yeah, there's a remake getting ready to come out now.
Okay.
It's definitely worth playing. It's very
Yeah, I know a lot of people like it, but I have played Silent Hill, and that's fantastic as well. So the fact that this is in it's the same vein and similar style game to Deep Madness, but in like a dream nightmares thing from each character. And this one actually, they say has choices that matter, branching narrative. That's just fantastic, and I'm super excited because Deep Madness doesn't have choices. It just has scenarios. So we'll see. It still says on Board Game Geek 2021. So I guess I got 26 days for it to deliver, for them to fulfill on their promise. But I have no idea what is happening like with this game. So maybe I should find out. But I mean, I don't really like, if it shows up, it shows up. And if it doesn't, then I'll probably forget about it. But yeah, I think I'll be pleasantly surprised whenever I get a shipping notification for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you like Deep Madness, then this one is just going to be I think just like a beefed up version of that.
It definitely looks kind of sadistic, doesn't it?
It very much has that Evil Within kind of feel.
Yeah.
Do they have an update? Their last update was in November.
That's not too long.
It wasn't too long ago, but it was more about their minis. So it looks like they're still working on it.
That's good. That's promising.
And they do really cool updates, like with videos and narratives about each update. So I don't know, but nothing on if the game's ever coming out.
Well, that's the thing, like people get upset on some of these Kickstarters when they take a very like go way past their date. But it's like, and I understand that too, but I also don't want them to rush the shit out. Like, sometimes if they take their time like this, they're fine tuning shit and hopefully play testing it better and making fixes and stuff.
Right. Especially if they want it to be, because most of the time it's like, if you have a choice A and B and you go with A, okay, A leads to this and then these go off. But if they're saying that how the order of choices you make matter, like if you had the option A and B, but you chose not to do like if you could choose A, but then you can go back to B and then B would affect the two choices from A, if I'm making any sense at all. I'm probably not. But if that's kind of how like it's all interwoven like narrative then versus just a path, then that causes for playtesting. Maybe not 3 years of playtesting, but who knows? I mean, it was a massive. I mean, it was expensive. I remember that. Like, what did they make off of it? Dawn of Madness. They made 1.2 million. The all-in pledge was it was only 300, but they have a shit ton of expansions for it. So yeah, we'll see. Hey, that's my number 10, Dawn of Madness.
All right. Well, my number 10 we had discussed a little bit earlier, and I had known about it ahead of time, I guess, before the official announcement. And that it is an expansion to one of our favorite games, and that is the Sinister Motives.
Oh, nice! This jumped on there,
Champions. Huh? Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I it must have been a spoiler deal that popped out, and I just thought it was officially announced already because that's why I put on here. This one's going to be pretty badass, I think, because we already have Spider-Man out of the core box, but having Miles Morales and Ghost Spider.
I thought that was Spider-Gwen.
Well, I did too, and then I get on the BGG thing and it says Ghost Spider.
Oh, okay.
So I thought it was Spider-Gwen too, but maybe BGG's wrong. I don't know. But having this, these boxes have been pretty damn cool and thematic how things have went, and this one has the potential to be probably the best one just because of all the bad guys they've thrown in it with Sandman and Venom is a bad guy, and you just have all that Sinister Six stuff. There's those characters are so different that the variation could be really interesting, and you're going to have Venom as a bad guy in this, and we already have Venom as a hero.
You're right. Yeah, right. It's the Flash Gordon Venom.
Right.
So this will be the Eddie Brock.
Yes, most likely. But this one just falls right into place, where it's a Marvel Champions big box, campaign expansion. Yes, it's going to be a top 10 just because those are always top notch, and just I'm just curious how they're going to, with the villains, like how they're going to play. That seems to be one of the cool aspects of this game. Sandman. Right. How are they going to do Sandman? How are they going to do, I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Just all this different stuff with it. It's just, I'm curious.
Who's the guy with the dagger in the back? Like,
yeah, I see him.
Because I know we have Doc Ock, we have Sandman, we have Shocker. or Electro or whatever his name
Electro.
is.
Yeah.
Venom and then Mysterio.
I don't know
I
who
don't know
that
who the
is
hell
with
that
the
guy is.
knife. I'm not sure. Because the Sinister Six, there's 1, 2, 3, but Venom wasn't one of the Sinister Six, I don't believe, was he?
Oh, maybe
So,
not. I have no idea.
because Rhino was always part of that, but
Maybe well, maybe they've changed over time.
yeah, I don't know. But anyway, this is my 10. It's going to be another solid deal. It should be.
Yeah.
I mean, they just keep knocking out of the park with all this stuff. And I'm getting behind playing what I have. I haven't played the last big box yet, so I need to get those going.
Yeah, I just played the Hood scenario.
Yeah.
He's awesome and extremely hard. And then War Machine is really cool.
That's cool.
So yeah, I agree. Did I have Marvel Champions on here? I don't think I did actually. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. It's not in my top 10, but
Gotcha.
I am excited for it.
Yep.
All right. My number 9 is an expansion. I think it's a standalone expansion as well. But this will be the final thing to complete the entire collection. And that is Too Many Bones, Unbreakable.
It's standalone too. It's just like Undertow.
Yeah. And that's what I thought. But with Too Many Bones, it's just the game itself, is whenever you're actually doing the fighting, it's kind of puzzly, and the narrative there could be a little bit more instead of just kind of reading a card. But where this game really shines is in its characters. So just having, and I know in Undertow, and I think in this one it is a lot more narrative. There's more stuff in it than just from the base game. But similar to Undertow, it adds 2 new gear locks. Or actually, no, it adds more than just the 2, right? It adds.
Yeah, because Carcass is one of them.
Yeah.
That got added, and that's the one I'm most excited to play.
Yeah, the one he uses his enemies.
When whoever he kills, he can use parts of them to strengthen him up and stuff. So it's kind of neat.
So once again, kind of in the top 10. Well, actually, my honorable mention was a Chip Theory game, but here's another one. Just goes to show they are just incredibly creative especially with their gear locks in this. So they have Figment and Gale are the 2 mainstream ones, and the ones from Undertow, Duster and Sally.
It's the singer.
Stanza. Stanza. They're insane. So every gear lock is so unique in their own way. How they play, how you choose to play them, or how you choose to build them, is fantastic. And because the games aren't overly long, you don't get bored with the gear locks, which is fantastic. Because while they're not like a branching tech tree of a character, you'll only get a certain amount of things unlocked as the game progresses before it ends, and then you can be like, oh, okay, next time I'm going to try and go further in that class, or I'm going to try and mix and match, or I'm going to do a different class. And so having everything for this game will just be fantastic. More of a campaign that is included, and just more one-shots, more baddies that you get to fight, and more, what are they called? They're not Nemesis.
They are Tyrants.
Yeah, so just having more of that is fantastic, because Too Many Bones is awesome.
Well, and I think the cool thing about this expansion in particular is one of the mats that you play on is like that. If you look in the box cover, there's lava. So there's lava chips that will pop up, and so lava will all of a sudden pop up. And if you get damaged, if you get pushed on the lava or whatever, and you can do stuff to make it cool off and turn back to rock and everything. So there's going to be a lot of a lot of more spatial stuff, because that was if there's one complaint about too many bones, is that with the small board, it's just like the enemies rush you, you battle them in the corner. You don't do a whole lot of moving. I mean, you can.
No, you don't.
But in this one, you're going to have to, because there's going to be lava pop up. You're going to have to move to get away from the lava and do different stuff. So I'm interested to see how that changes stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, because that's why I was saying the fighting is kind of, it's more of just a puzzle. Like, you do have the turn-based, but you're not moving. But and very rarely can you actually move and it matter.
Right.
Typically it's kind of like, okay, here's all the abilities of the baddies. Which one of these do we need to kill before we, do we need to kill first because it's the most troublesome, and how do we move on? So yeah, that is exciting that they're going to actually include some elements that will.
Well, and I think that other dude, the old dude on the box cover,
yeah,
with the staff, I think he manipulates time. I think he's a time mage. So I'm like, how in the hell is that going to work?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. They're probably going to do something with real life time. Hey,
maybe.
Start a timer. It's like, what?
Yeah. With this included, 24 karat gold embossed timer that we're putting in the box.
Yeah. So once this comes out, I think you and I should do our rank list of all the gear locks.
Yeah.
Which will be insane to do because there's a lot of them and that's a lot of playing. So
yeah, I've played most of them.
I have not. I have played.
Yeah.
I have seen some played, but I have not played anywhere near all of them.
Well, and that's why I kind of took a break from it a little bit, because I played it so much over this past during our nice little COVID times. I've been playing crap out of this.
Well, you know what? That might be coming back up at this point in time. Might get quarantined again.
My school just got mask mandated again. We start on tomorrow.
That sucks. I'm sorry. But
yeah,
too many bones, unbreakable.
All right. So my number 12 or 9, not 12. I don't know that. My number
40. Let's start talking about other games.
My number 9's already been talked about.
Oh, okay. It's Weather Machine. Yeah, I know this is where you're jumping on.
That's it. No,
I have no idea.
For sure, and great.
Yeah.
And this one would be higher, probably. It's just I haven't played Sorcerer for a while. I've been kind of waiting for this, obviously, because I can't play Sorcerer solo right now.
Yeah. You can two-hand it.
Yeah.
Be like that old man in that Bugs Life.
To win. But yeah, this one I'm just anxious for, from me talking with Robert and those guys that created the game and everything. They've just put so much work into this that it can't be a failure. I mean, I've watched some gameplay stuff. It's going to be very difficult. It's not going to be an easy game to win. I mean, they've done that with it being a cooperative / solo deal. It is difficult as hell.
Yeah.
So, but I'm excited just to be able to put the game on the table and get it played more consistently. And having more of those decks are just going to add to it has that smash up appeal. The more decks you have, the more options you have.
Yeah.
And everything. So I'm just interested to see how they bring it out. But yeah, for everything you said with this, it's just going to be pretty kick-ass.
Yep, I agree. Because what's also interesting is, like, you definitely get the Magic feel, like whenever you're playing 1v1, but you can't play Magic like solo. Like, there's no campaign in Magic the Gathering, so you'll be able to actually have that kind of feel in a cooperative solo game, which is going to be really cool. It's going to be interesting to see how those enemies work.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, just because if they're going to do customizable decks for those enemies, like the villains you fight against, that's going to be really neat.
Yeah, it is. There's going to be a Endbringer deck, and then I can't remember what they call them, and the evil deck, the monster deck, whatever, and you're going to put those together to create the bad guy. And what's cool is that all of the Endbringers are these big standees, these huge standees that actually you're still going to have the 3 locations, but it takes up 2 of them. Like he'll be in 2 of those locations at one time.
Okay.
Is how the Endbringer will work. So
sweet.
So he'll be able to fire off his deck stuff at those 2 locations instead of just one when you have your sorcerer that moves around to different places. So I don't know. I mean, they say it's super, super difficult. So we'll see.
Good.
See how it goes.
Good. All right. My number 8 is I'm honestly surprised that it's actually lasted at number 8, but I think I haven't necessarily cooled on this company, but I'm definitely not as head over heels for them as I once was. They're still a phenomenal company. They make fantastic games, and I am stoked to see how this game actually turns out. But my number 8 is ISS Vanguard. So this is from Awakened Realms. I was like, who's the company? Same company that did Tainted Grail, which is phenomenal. Other Fields actually ended up being like I really liked it at one point, and then the more I played it, how I like really was like, I don't want to touch this again. And the Great Wall. Oh, and this War of Mine, also fantastic game. Haven't received my Great Wall stuff, but that will show up at some point. But yeah, so this is a cooperative, once again, campaign set in like space. I mean, it's a sci-fi adventure game where you go to different planets and manage like 4 different sections of security, recon, science, and engineering as you are delving into space. So kind of like Unsettled, where you went to different planets. This is a similar concept where you will decide and narratively determine what planets you're going to go to and how you're going to, you know, experience that type of planet with its own unique characteristics. So what's also really cool is that your ship is you have a binder. Like let's see if I can find a picture. But yeah, how you upgrade your ship is like through a binder that has resource dials on it and different tabs, which is very innovative. I have never seen anything like that. So it's kind of, that's your journal, that's your log, that is everything about your ship in that game, with different upgrades, different probably things that have happened from decisions you made are all getting incorporated in that.
Right.
So it says, yeah, it's a unique story. I think Awakened Realms is probably the best company with writing. And I was talking to a few friends, and we were like, for some reason, board game designers or board games in general have a really hard time finding writers where it doesn't come off as cheesy or just downright bad. Tainted Grail is, you know, esteemed for having some of the best writing, and I would agree. And look at that, I'll butcher his name, Krzysztof Piskorski. He's the guy who wrote for Tainted Grail. Gotcha. So full of, yeah, so a unique story written by that guy, full of hard player choices, twists, and branching storylines. So ambition, it's an ambitious game. So because what Unsettled is you pick a planet and then you have a puzzle on that planet. What I want, and there's nothing wrong with that. What I want is what I'm hoping this game is, where it's like, we're flying through space, we decide what planets to go to, there's a shit ton of planets, we go there, and that planet will be different each time we land on it. Like, I don't want to go to that planet and be like, oh, well, we saw that one, and then just never touch it again, you know? Right. And maybe we go to another planet, and then we go back, and it's different. We go back to the same one we already visited. So I don't know how exactly it's worked. I haven't watched any run-throughs or anything about the game, but from what I have seen, people are very excited about it.
Yeah, so, yeah. I've hum-hauled around about it, but it just doesn't catch my eye as as much. I mean, I have Tainted Grail and have played it and enjoy it, but
Yeah.
this
Which
one
I'm
for some
amazed with you
reason,
being so sci-fi heavy that you wouldn't
yeah, I
want
just don't
to.
know. I don't know. It just didn't catch me as much. I don't know what it was for sure.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, because I want like Mass Effect,
Right,
like just but with a good ending, you know.
right. All right. So my number 8 is a game that you mentioned briefly earlier. They did a reprint game found for it. It was mainly for the expansion for it, so I kind of lumped them into one since I don't have that, and that is the
Oh,
Dungeons
okay.
of Infinity second edition with Kingdom Cost expansion.
Yeah.
This was made by the guys who do Icefarian Guard, stuff like that. They really it's a dungeon crawl game, but what's neat about it is you're going to have these trays that you're going to have, like each character has their own tray, like an inset tray that you have cubes on and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you go through, and it's the variation is their big thing with this. There's also a foreteller for this that they are putting out, but there's like, gosh, I don't know, 100 or so events that will pop up throughout the deal. Their tagline, their thing is said you'll never play the game twice in your lifetime. There's so much variation with it, which I mean,
You mean you'll never play the same game twice?
right. So
You were like, you'll never play the game twice. This game sucks.
Sorry, I skipped
play it once.
But you can either play a campaign with this, you can play it solo. It also is cooperative or competitive. That I don't really know. It's pretty much, to me, from what I've seen and read about, cooperative is kind of the way to go with it.
Yeah.
But the game has like 400 cards. I mean, it's very heavy card based.
Yeah.
You're going to go through, but the way the enemies go, I think, is one of the things with this game, because they fall, like they'll track you, or they'll hide. They'll kind of hide and just wait for you, and then they'll jump out at you, or they'll even follow you. So I mean, so instead of it being like one particular thing, like in Cthulhu Death May Die, you move, they move, or if a card tells them to move, they move to the closest one. This one is going to be, they may be hiding from you and you don't know they're there, and they could just spring on you. But what let me see what I have the expansion right here too, because it's the expansion is going to add more heroes, more minions, another 18 map campaign, and stuff. It's just looks cool, and and with the pedigree that they have, after me liking Icefarian Guard so much, and then I started following their other games and looking at it, and their production values are awesome. I think because the first edition of Dungeons of Infinity, I don't believe was Sky Kingdom. I think they kind of helped out and kind of refurbished it up with the first designer and publisher or whatever, and kind of helped out to create it into what it is now. This expansion, the Heroes Cost expansion, also adds a lot more solo stuff as well, which is another reason I jumped in on it. Just the stories are going to be a little more digestible for solo play as well. So anyway, if you look at the pictures of the stuff, when you glancing at it, I mean, just the production, everything just is awesome with the cube trays and how you track everything, all that. It looks like a better version to me of that one train wreck of a game Simon did, Massive Darkness.
Oh yeah.
I think this one's better because it's going to have story. It's going to have all that cool stuff. And I think
Right.
Sky Kingdom's kind of starting to make that move into being one of those companies known for their productions and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah. I did
anyway,
not back this one. I know it was super cheap to jump in on,
right.
but I think I watched a review of the first edition, and the guy was mentioning, I think mainly the randomness was kind of what he was mentioning. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't
Yes.
know if I'll jump in on that. So whenever you get yours, I'll have to give it a
Yes.
shot.
You bring up a good point about the randomness, because that was one thing that combats are dice based,
Yeah.
but damage is not.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so like you're gonna, if you fail or whatever, you're taking this amount of damage. That. So like if
Mhm.
it's not. So that's another thing. Like you're not gonna, if you roll a 1 or whatever and they roll a 6, you're not taking any more damage because you rolled 4. It's
Okay.
you
All
win.
right. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So a little bit of difference there.
Okay. All right. My number 7, this is going to be kickstarting pretty much kind of the rest of my list. So a little bit of a spoiler here, but I am very excited for 2022 because it's going to be the year of oh my god, of boss battler games, which KDM has had like it's whatever it's grip on that industry. But this year there's going to be a lot, well, not a lot, but at least some games that will come out that will either dethrone it or will actually be like, oh hey, here's another game that doesn't cost you a shit ton of money. And my number 7 is one of the first ones that's similar to that, and it is Primal: The Awakening. So this is basically Boss Battler, the game. It really looks like Monster Hunter. I get more of that uh, than obviously KDM or anything like that. But there's 2 ways to play. You can play in campaign mode or hunt mode. Hunt mode, basically, it's just a one shot. You choose a massive monster to go out and fight, and then you move around a board to fight it, and it has its own AI deck, and it has its own way of fighting and combating you, and you are these guys that you've built up to fight this, and you can attack certain sections to weaken it. You can break off armor, so similar to Monster Hunter, where you can do that to gain resources. And there are quite a few of monsters that they unlocked in their Kickstarter. I, of course, went all in on this just because I really like that aspect of it. And even in the campaign mode, players will choose their paths through the story by completing quests and unlocking rewards. Each mission you choose will lead to different developments of the story and plenty of unique opportunities like crafting options. So similar to KDM, where you fight the antelope and you get a bunch of antelope gear and basic stuff, and you use that to build a certain weapon or armor. Same concept here. And like I think that this will probably be done in a better way, because the combat reminds me a little bit of the way the Dark Souls bosses work. Is the monsters have like a facing and how they move, and the card will interact with the way that they're moving, and you interact with them and how they're moving in the terrain around you. You can like move onto a rock, which will help you like potentially jump onto the monster's back. And I'm just so excited, mainly because of my sheer hatred for KDM. No, that's not true. But I mean, I think competition is good. And if you have more games like this, then you don't have to resort to the only one on the market, because an all-in for this is the same price as the base game for KDM. And so if you just want to buy a base game of Primal, then that's all you have to get. Like, it's just, and I like Monster Hunter. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's way more fun whenever you have a team like playing with your friends, doing different builds to combat these monsters. So I'm excited. Monster Hunter is not on this list at all, even though I think that Steamforged Games would probably do that game justice, because Dark Souls has their like the best part of that board game was its boss fighting, and that's all Monster Hunter is going to be. But I don't know, Steam Force. I'm just like, no, maybe not. Maybe I'll just never buy your games again. But this one's gonna be exciting.
I do like the cover art. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, cover art's super cool. They don't have many pictures. They actually don't have any on Board Game Geek. But obviously, you can always go to their Kickstarter and take a look at it. So, yeah, crafting and customization focuses on deep character customization. Players will unlock a large variety of crafting options as they upgrade and expand the forge. As the hunters level up, players will also have multiple choices to customize their deck of ability cards. And reading the ratings, I guess they had a prologue on Tabletop Simulator, and everyone who ranks this game and actually talks about it mentions the awesome combos, which is really cool.
Interesting. All right.
So it's card-driven combat as well, which is superior in my opinion.
All
so
right.
that's my number 7, Primal: The Awakening.
All right. My number 7, I believe, was on last year's list as well, maybe. And this one's one that I went all in on, and I'm ready to get it. And that's Freedom 5.
Yeah.
Just because, it's a big, grandiose cooperative game, can be played solo. Sentinel's universe, which I like anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're throwing in the Defenders of the Realm style stuff, and then with Richard Lanius, and then you have the Sadler brothers throwing their 2 cents into it too, and then just seeing the production photos and following the updates and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be awesome. I think just the having the painted minis and all that stuff is just crazy pants and everything. But
yeah,
there's going to be so much variation in this game that I just don't see how it could fail. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I know, right? At least you'll have those painted minis if it does.
Oh yeah, that's true. I've spent more money on this one than I have on a Kickstarter in a long time. This one's been
same.
Wasn't one of my highest ones. So
yeah, it was a big chunk. Only if you got the painted minis, of course.
Yeah.
But they look really good. I'm also excited for this one. It's a modern Defenders of the Realm with a superhero theme and the Sadler brothers. Yeah, like you can't go wrong.
Yeah, and another thing that they talk about is how the AI system for this is like super smart. Like they put a lot of work into the AI system. So I don't know. It has a lot of hype and everything. So let's see how it comes out. And it seems like they're progressing pretty well in the production of it. So maybe 2022. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the Sadler brothers and them are usually pretty quick.
Yeah, because the company is Arcane Wonders. It's putting it out, the main company. So it should be decent,
Mm-hmm.
And the Greater Than Games has, because of the theme, I think. But yeah, it just seems like this is right in my wheelhouse, and stuff. And I think the Sentinel, the multiverse theme is cool because they created an entire unique world.
Yeah.
Even though they're similar to other heroes that we know in the major.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be impossible to make a superhero that isn't related or similar to 15 others,
Right. So yeah. So this one's very much anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to get it on the table.
Yeah, same. All right, my number 6 is also a boss battler game, but this one definitely feels more like Kingdom Death than Primal did. This one I backed and am very much awaiting like just the base game. I think they're getting ready to release like the base game content for it. So we'll see. And it is Aeon's Trespass Odyssey. So as you can see just from this cover, it's grotesque, horrid, like abysmal monsters. But the way I've been describing this is basically Kingdom Death, but set in like Greek mythology. And alternate antiquity or reality shattering cataclysm killed the Olympian gods and unleashed the otherworldly primordials. Take control of the Argo and its crew, train them and send them on adventures into the dangerous and mysterious lands of ancient Greece and beyond. I mean, it just looks insane. Like it has a lot of elements of like I said, KDM. Their artwork is wild. All these fantastical creatures. I mean, I don't even know what the hell this thing is that they're fighting. It's a god with wings and cow skulls and octopus tentacles coming out of their mouths.
It's a cod piece.
It's its cod piece, yeah, and that's its 8 penises. But yeah, I mean, of course, fighting, you go out on hunts and you go out and fight these monsters, come back with resources. And even the board looks very similar. But as far as I know, you don't have to create these minis. So they'll come to you like fully formed. But some of these are like what the Bible actually describes as angels is what these monsters look like, with like the 18 eyes and then like the pyramid like formation. It's so wild. What I am hoping, because what does it say? It says tactical combat, narrative driven gameplay, strategic campaign. You win by defeating the main villains or solving a crisis. You lose if your Argonauts die, your crew abandons you, your ship gets destroyed, or the villain fulfills their plot or time runs out. During battles, you must cooperate to defeat one giant primordial boss type controlled by a sophisticated AI system. Outside of battles, you choice chain and choice matrix mechanics to track your decisions throughout the game. So, I mean, say it with me, ambition is everything about this. So I know there's a shit ton of content that'll be coming out for it. And once again, the price to go all in for it wasn't that expensive. So I'm hoping that this comes out of all the boss battlers coming out next year. This is going to be the one that is most closely related to KDM. And I hope it's card driven combat. I don't actually know. Because what I don't want is a reskin of KDM. That would just defeat the entire purpose. But this one seems really, really cool. The art, all the content for it is sexy. Shit ton of cards. Their board, their maps, their monsters, their minis. I think it's gonna be really, really cool. So yeah.
Well, I will give you the award for box cover art for this list.
Yeah, some of them are killing it. So we'll
Sure.
see if I think their latest update was kind of them. Actually, their latest update was them talking about one of their minis and how it's like a weird moon thing. Their latest update was called Babylonian Lunacies. I don't know. It was some weird moon library thing. So yeah, and I think they had mentioned that their base game will be coming out. So we'll see. We'll see what it's like when I finally get it.
Yeah.
So that's my number 6, Aeon Trespass Odyssey.
My number 6 has already been talked about.
Oh, okay. Well, it is it Too Many Bones?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, no. Isofarian Guard. Oh, Burn Cycle. Okay, well.
Burn Cycle. Kind of for all the same stuff you talked about. I mean, it's a unique world outside of their Cloud Spire and Too Many Bones areas and Hoplomachus, and the story behind it is unique, and everything. So it's gonna be interesting controlling the robots and trying to do what you need to do, and everything I've seen with this is just the mats and the cards and all that stuff. It's just going to be another awesome chip theory game, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have much more to say about it, you know. I mean, we kind of covered it on yours, but yeah, I'm excited for this one for sure.
All right, cool. All right, my number 5 is almost all of my top 10 are like campaign games. Never gonna get them completed ever. One of them isn't, but yeah, the next one definitely is. It is. I mean, it's similar to one of my favorite games that I've played, but it actually seems more adventure than survival, and that is the Seventh Citadel. So if this is re-implementation of Seventh Continent, but the main difference I've seen is that Seventh Continent is a survival game and Seventh Citadel is a adventure game. So there's a lot more interaction with the world that you're in, like talking to people, completing quests, more so than just being put on an island and figuring out what is going on. Trying to basically break a curse. Seventh Continent is absolutely fantastic in its design, like how the board. I think it was one of the first, if not the first, to have an expanding map that all the cards connected. And then once that was done, every other game like started trying to mirror that. Like Tainted Grail like has that same kind of concept, but with the Seventh Citadel, in a post-apocalyptic medieval fantasy world, you play as a slave gardener who escapes from the Citadel of Necro Druid. Yep, all those whatever fantasy names, only to find yourselves confronted by an even greater threat. As the scenarios unfold, your choices, for better or worse, will lead you inexorably to the epic finale against the threat. So kind of like Continent, where you had a curse, and that was kind of what you had to, that was your main goal, was sort of like exploring the land to figure out how to break the curse. So same concept here, except there's a threat that is doing stuff and you have to talk and work with people and complete quests to make progression towards completing the threat. So like an adventure game, but same idea. The map expands, you go to different locations, but you can actually talk, and I feel like I will actually like this one more because it has a sense of progression, where Continent, you can very much feel lost if you're not coming across the right things, or if you don't have the right things. When you do come across the right things, then you have to backtrack, and that can be very disheartening. But as you can see, I have a theme. I have a theme with the games I like. I love choices in games, and I love choices that matter. So I have the utmost confidence that this team will do a fantastic job with this one.
Yeah. All right.
This looks like a butthole.
I was getting ready to say it looked like something else, but yeah.
It looks like a vagina, but like, and that's another reason why I like it.
You can just use the box.
Seth, why does did it come with a hole in it? Yes, it was a shipping problem.
All right, my number 5 is a solo only game with supreme production, and it is Hoplamok.
Is this solo only?
Yep, it is solo only. Yep. Now all the other stuff, because in this Kickstarter, you know, they had the redone, revised version of all the other Hoplamaka stuff that is a 1v1 or whatever. This one is strictly solo.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean, this is going to be pretty sweet because I like Hoplamakas anyway. And then when they throw this story campaign into it, and you know, you are, I guess the story of it is, you know, Mount Vesuvius is getting ready to blow up, and the stuff that's happened has angered the god Pluto, and he's going to destroy everything unless the hero can accomplish certain tasks throughout the campaign to stop. And I think it eventually ends with you fighting Pluto at the end, but there's all these different game mats you'll fight on, and it uses the same kind of gameplay mechanics as the Hoplomachus stuff, but it's just going to be badass to being able to have Hoplomachus and be able to play it solo with a story, and then all the production values, of course, that Chip 3 Games does, is just going to make this just sweet as hell, I think. And then, of course, I got the updated, revised edition of all the original stuff, and I think there is some crossover. Like, I think you can use some of that stuff in this game. I may be wrong on that, and then you can use some of this stuff in when you play a Hoplomachus 1v1 as well. But yeah, I mean, this is because the thing with Hoplomachus is it was more historically accurate, like realism and stuff. This one brings in the whole lore, like the fantastical lore of that time period with Pluto, the god of the underworld, and all that stuff. It's so yeah, this one's just going to be a home run. I mean, I've watched a ton of gameplay videos of this and stuff like that, and it's going to be good.
Yeah, I got to speak to the designer at Gen Con this last year, and he was very passionate, of course, about the game.
Yes.
And he, I didn't back this, but I think they're gonna reopen late pledges later.
Well, or you could have done it as an add-on with the Too Many Bones Game Found. I think all their stuff was possible add-ons. Possibly.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to check that out. I sent them an email like asking about it, and they responded. I think they said I was still able to get it, but I don't remember how. But yeah, like it seems really cool. The fact that you can actually travel from location to location and you fight differently, like depending on which like arena you're in. That seemed pretty sweet. Yeah, and I have, of course, it's Chip Theory, so they're probably gonna knock it out of the park.
And then those words "solo only" just was like boing.
Oh God, I can't wait to play by myself. I have no friends. No.
Yeah. So yeah,
all right.
This one is an easy one to the list.
Yeah. All right. My number 4 is another boss battler. It is the third one on this list. It's the only one on this, only other one on this list. This is the last one in my top 10 that isn't narrative, like it doesn't have a campaign as far as I know. But the art and everything about it, I absolutely jumped on because it reminds me of a certain video game that's fantastic, and that is Townsfolk Tussle. So I very much love this art style. I don't know what it's called, but like early cartoon art style.
That's what I would go.
And it's Cuphead. It's Cuphead the board game is what I'm going to be referring it to as. So you basically, you just pick a boss and you have your unique character and you fight the boss. But it's very whimsical. Like the art style is awesome. They're going to be doing crazy things to fight them because they're cartoons, and you actually will have terrain and you have a map that you will move around instead of it being, of course, the 2D fighting that Cuphead was. You just have like Will Barlow, which is a barley barrel, Virginia, I don't know the last name, but then Samuel Strawman, and they have their own AI, like cards, special abilities, their health, like how they move, and I just think it's going to be super cool because I don't see games with this art style. One of the ones that I pre-ordered, which actually I don't know if it's on my anticipated list at all. No, I must have forgot about it, but oh no, it is. It was actually, it was 22, so we'll talk about it in another list. But this one obviously went high up on it. It beats out the other boss battlers Primal and Aeon's Trespass because of its like art style and unique gameplay. So I think this one's gonna be super cool. So that's my number 4. Panic
All
Roll.
right.
That company, what have they done? Have they done nothing else? Nope, this is their only game.
Yeah. All right. My number 4 has already been talked about as well. And it is Too Many Bones Unbreakable. This one I toyed around with where it was going to fall up here towards the top, but yeah, I mean, just more of this game is great. This is going to be the last major content for the game. It's going to fill up the old trove chest and all that good stuff, and it's just adding more greatness to an already great game. And I can only imagine, we talked about this when it was, you were talking about it, that the time manipulation is going to be crazy pants. And
Yeah.
I can only imagine what their individual playmat's going to look like, for him.
Did they show off any of the characters, like any of their?
I'm sure they have. I just haven't paid a ton of attention, but
Same.
But Figment is the time guy, and I mean, just with Stanza being so crazy pants with her board, I can only imagine what time manipulation is going to do.
God, I know. She was, because whenever I first played Too Many Bones, I was like, I played it with Kat, and she's like, I was like, oh, well, here are the characters. She's like, oh, can I play the Bard? I'm like, yeah, okay. And then we're playing, and I'm like, Kat, you are not doing anything. And then she's like, and then I took the sheet, and I was looking at it, and I was like, I don't know how this character works. And I had to study it. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're gonna have you play someone else because this is insane.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that I think they really kind of shit the bed on is their complexity. Like, I don't think it's accurate. Like, they have patches as a 1 for solo. And it's like, absolutely not. He's the healer. He's not great by himself.
Right.
So the Figment shifts the flow of battle mid-game, changing up rounds and initiative orders with the help of his baffling technology.
Okay, so he isn't doing it. He's just messing with the order of play.
Yeah.
Still be pretty powerful, though.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
But yeah, I mean, there isn't much more. Just like with a burn cycle, we kind of covered this one for the most part, but
yep,
it's going to be a good one for sure.
Yep, sweet. All right, my number 3 has actually already been said, so finally have a crossover with you.
What in the hell have I said that you wouldn't? How about we look at? I bet it's Aeon's End.
Yep.
Is that it?
Yep. Aeon's End, Legacy of Greathold, everything you said. Aeon's End is easily my favorite deck builder. It was actually the game that got me into deck building whenever I really didn't like it. And just having a legitimate campaign, legacy aspect, just to have way more content. I mean, like you mentioned, has twice the number of fucking, God, it's going to be insane.
Yeah.
So hopefully the writing is good, because the writing in the original Legacy leaves a lot to be desired. I'll just say that. It's you play the Legacy because you like the game, not because its story sucks.
Well, and I will tell you, Sydney Engelstein, she's new. This is her first project with Aeon's End she's worked on, but she's done a ton of other things.
Okay.
And in that podcast I listened to a handful of months ago, she's handling the story. Okay. And she does do well with that stuff. So that's why I think it's going to be a good,
Awesome. And that's smart on the company to bring in someone who actually does writing, because if they're good at designing the game and the monsters and stuff, it's like, okay, well then do that and hire someone who knows how to write.
And she may have actually had part in this, like Outcast and stuff too, maybe, now that I think of it.
Yeah.
Like,
And those are, I feel like, I mean, just those mini stories are written way better than
Right.
Legacy. So yeah, I mean, not much more to say. It's more Aeon's End, just a lot more.
Yeah, a lot. All right. My number 3 is an expansion to one of my favorite new games from last year, I believe. Yeah, last year. I think it was when it was new. And it's gonna be awesome. And it may be out before 2022. I'm hoping not, because it'll be defunct on this list. And that is the Expedition Leaders for Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Yeah, nice.
This one, I mean, they listen, whether they listen to the people or they already had this in mind, but you have unique player powers right off the bat. Each person's going to have their own unique deck right off the bat.
Awesome.
Then one of the other complaints about Lost Ruins of Arnak, when people are talking about it, is the research track was kind of the way to go. Mm-hmm. This expansion has alternate research tracks, so it's going to totally change up the game. Like
yeah,
I mean, it's going to make this game so much more replayable because of just having the different starting abilities of your people alone, and then taking that research track and changing it from game to game is going to add that much more to it as well. There's also going to be new cards, new artifact, and new item cards, which obviously is going to cause more, combos and stuff like that when you get playing them. It's going to add more monsters, the Guardians, I guess, what you call them. There's going to be new assistants. I mean, it's just adding more. And, we've talked about that before with expansions. They're not really fixing stuff with this expansion. They're just adding more to make it more robust, right. I'm super excited for this one, especially with the solo aspects of this game and being able to change it up a little bit with that as well. This is one I haven't pre-ordered. I'm waiting on it. And this is kind of a must if you own Lost Ruins of Arnak, I think.
Yeah, I agree. All that stuff sounds fantastic. It's one of the things that maybe it might have been my own personal complaints with Lost Ruins was that I wish the cards were cooler. Like some of the ruin or the relics are really neat, but the combos weren't like exactly super exciting. So I'm hoping that is also what's brought in with this expansion. But yeah, more of a great game, just more content to a great game. It's already awesome. And then changing up and enhancing it so you have different ways to replay it is way better as well.
Yeah, and it's just because there's going to be 6 leaders in this game.
Oh, okay.
So there's going to be 6 unique leaders to choose from. And I don't know how. It just says give your expedition an edge by choosing one of 6 unique leaders, each equipped with different abilities, skills, and starting decks that other different strategies and styles of play for you to explore.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
That's going to be sweet as hell.
Yeah, I agree. All right. My number 2 may get delivered in 2021. And it's like my number 2 on this list. I don't think I will get my copy. So it still is kind of valid, but I do know a friend of mine did get his tracking information. I got to play this at Gen Con and got a pretty extensive demo, and it was a blast. I don't have any ties to the original, but luckily I don't think you need that. And that is Return to Dark Tower. This game is so freaking cool. The way that it connects with the app and how the app changes on events and how it releases and syncs to this tower is so fascinating. It feels like an extremely solid and difficult co-op game, but about maneuvering around the world and fulfilling quests and stuff. But the way this tower works is genius in its design. And then it has Isaac Childress, I think, was a designer, and Rob Davio. Yeah, those were the two names that I knew of. But the world is really cool. The monsters you fight is really cool. The items you get are really cool. And what's also neat is that these quests that or things that you can try and complete these objectives, you don't know when they're going to complete. So it's like, oh, you have to prioritize and think about, well, this one's really good, but if we don't finish it, it's going to be really bad. But it's like, do we have time to build up to try and stop it?
Right.
And the fact that it is, of course, a campaign style game that progresses as you continue to play is going to be so neat. It's awesome. The demo, like whenever I played it, unlike Rainbow Six Siege, where I walked away with a bad taste in my mouth, this one I was like, all right, when am I getting it? So that's my number 2, Return to Dark Tower.
All right. Speaking of grandiose campaign games, my number 2 is
oh shit!
Frosthaven.
I thought this was gonna be your number 1.
Frosthaven is very much anticipated, obviously. I mean, I've put a lot of time into the original Gloomhaven. This one seems like it's going to it's going to be better from all intents and purposes from everything, where I think one of the coolest changes is like when you're building up your town, you're building up your town, your retired heroes will actually open up shop and be able to still be part of the game, doing different things, so that's going to be pretty badass. It's another 100 scenario box, it's just nuts how this stuff goes. It's the all-time Kickstarter record holder, of course, for board games and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you're right. This did dethrone Kingdom Death.
Oh yeah, I think this was like 13 million, I think is what it ended up getting.
We'll look it up because I don't remember.
But it's just nuts, the amount of content in these games and stuff, and
almost $12.9 million.
Okay.
That's fucking wild.
It is. It's nuts, and it's a lot of people give these kind of games where it's the one-time playthrough and you're done kind of stuff. But I mean, this is a 100 scenario game. I mean, and all the side quests you can do and all the different things you can do. Plus, there's going to be improvements on the Gloomhaven system, that he's picked up through that.
Through feedback and
Right. And you had said something about the possibility of them having the flipbook map, maybe. I know hearing it or whatever.
Yeah, so someone commented on our discussion for Jaws of the Lion, and he said that once this is all once it's fulfilled and people have it, that Isaac said he was going to do a flip book, what they did for Jaws of the Lion. So I'm just going off what that guy said.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that'd be a weird thing to lie about. I'd imagine. I mean, because Isaac's very open on his game. He's actually one of the best designers for this because he gives people the license to create their own scenarios, use his content. I mean, there's that fan-made expansion that'll be coming out, which is also a big box for Gloomhaven, and he's not out there suing them over it. So
I just think that like that flipbook thing would be. I mean, they'd make another super amount of money just from throwing out it might be 4 books, it might be 5 flip books because some of the maps are bigger, or whatever, and just have to.
I mean, because the tiles suck in Gloomhaven, very basic. They're just brown, and you could just get artwork, and it takes so little time to set up. So
I'm very much anticipating this one and ready to sink another 6 months into a game or so.
Yeah, God, I'm looking it up on Kickstarter. 32 guest designers, scenario and event design competitions, 10 scenario community driven campaign, 25 puzzle scenarios, Return to Dark Tower tie-in content.
Well, and isn't there, because this is going to have oh shit, what's the audio?
Foreteller.
This is going to have Foreteller as well.
Oh yeah.
And everything. So, and that's so much makes Gloomhaven so cool anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, the Foreteller for Gloomhaven is awesome. Like, it has so many different audio like things in there, voice acting. The one for Madara is just a woman reading from a book.
Right.
And that's kind of what you would expect. But Gloomhaven, it's like, oh, you're in a sewer and you hear dripping and water splashing and stuff. And it's very ambiance.
Well, and so there's 16 new characters, 3 new races, more than 20 new enemies, more than 100 new items. I mean, it's nuts.
They're trying to find. They just sent out a pledge, or not a pledge, an email asking for people's opinion on what their insert should be, because they don't work with Broken Token anymore.
Right.
Either of them are going to be fine. Any insert is going to be good for this game.
I don't really use the insert because I just have it. I mean, it's around my computer right now on 2 tables.
Yeah.
I'll spread out.
Yeah. And if I can get a new gaming table, then I'll be able to play it a lot more, because setup and teardown kind of suck.
Well,
it's not fun.
And one last thing about this, I'll read off this site, because it's saying that there's so much more to do outside of combat. There's numerous mysteries to solve, a seasonal event system to live through, which I don't know what that means, and player control over how this ramshackle village expands.
Yeah.
And with each new building offering new ways to progress. So
I remember.
Yeah, it's just gonna be crazy.
I remember Isaac saying that, is that in Gloomhaven, you just went from scenario to scenario. There was no, you just didn't do much except read an event card. And that was one of his main focuses with Frosthaven, to make the world a lot more livelier.
Right.
Which I will say Gloomhaven, I feel like, is pretty lively through its writing. Like, you get the idea that it's a unique world, but you didn't do much. But yeah. Well, can you guess what my number 1 is?
Well, you haven't said Frosthaven, so is it that?
No.
It's not?
It is.
Where?
It's Frosthaven.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, Frosthaven I didn't even think of. No. Yeah, everything you said and everything that I said, comboing, it is. I just can't wait. I haven't even fucking beaten Gloomhaven. Like, that's my problem. Is
I think I'm 45 into Gloomhaven is where I'm at right now.
I think I'm like late 20s into it. It's insane. So yeah, it's just gonna make everything about Gloomhaven that's fantastic just that much better. One thing that I do know that they did is the scenarios are a lot more unique. Like, it's not just kill all enemies,
right?
Like a lot of Gloomhaven's ones are, but just having more characters. And I don't know, do you know if you can combine them? Like, can you take characters from Gloomhaven? I think
characters. Yeah, it actually says it right here. I was looking at that. It says that Frosthaven's will be interchangeable with the original Gloomhaven board game to an extent, anyway. Namely, you can use Gloomhaven's characters in Frosthaven and vice versa.
Okay.
And then some of the first game's items will become available throughout the sequel.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Characters, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's which is just really cool. Like, and then like you said, with the retiring of characters will actually stick around. That might actually make you want to retire, or not at least be so hesitant to retire. Because in Gloomhaven, I never want to. It's like, it took so long for me to level these guys up. I want to use them at max level. I don't want them to like retire and then just go away.
Right.
So that'll be really neat. And yeah, I haven't really looked at much of other gameplay or any of the buildings or stuff, but I do like the fact that he just allows the community to run with it and just add more content. So yeah, this was easily my number 1.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna go with Isofarian Guard is your number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. This one just after watching the gameplays and all the stuff. I mean, this one just hits. I love bag building. I love the mostly solo style narrative. All the it's unique because when you play through the game, because it was a pretty cheap game for what you're getting, but it's also one of those games that like each of the stories that you do, you pretty much have to use that pairing of characters before the story to make sense. I mean, they said you can play with another set of characters, but then when you do the foreteller, it's not going to make sense because it's different voices for different people. So like you'll play through that whole storyline with those two, and then you'll start the next storyline and it'll be two other people and their story going through. They said you can replay it. It's just you're going to kind of know stuff and you'll make those different decisions. So I mean, it's good that it was a cheaper game, because once you play through it all the way, it's going to be a harder one to play through again. It's not where you destroy cards or sticker or anything. It's just kind of the story goes down, but there's so much content with it that it's gonna take forever for you to get through anyway. And then just listening to the snippets, because they've put some snippets of the audio, just to kind of hear what it's like and stuff, and it's just cool as hell and everything. So I like the chip-based combat or resolution of stuff and everything. So yeah, I mean, this one just hits on all the aspects of what I like and everything. So we'll see. They're getting close to being done with it. So
awesome.
Hopefully this year or next year, whatever.
Yeah. So all right. So that was our top 20 anticipated games for 2022. Here's hoping they all deliver and we don't see any repeat games for 2023. We shall see with the state of the world and everything, but even if not, we still have a bunch of games to play, and we'll eventually get them when we get them.
Oh yeah.
And of course, these are just mainly ones that were on Kickstarter. I think almost all of these were Kickstarter or game founders. So there'll be games that come out that aren't Kickstarter, and of course games from previous years that we haven't had a chance to play. But yeah, so that was that. If Brad and I are also going to do a list of the other games that didn't quite make the top 20, that'll be a little bit more relaxed and just kind of casually just mentioning games. So go check that out if you want to hear about more games that we are excited about. Other than that, let us know what games you're excited about for 2022 in the comments below. And like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.